and easy. We're done with that though.
The jump rope.
Yeah. Whenever I skip rope, I can't use these wireless headphones. They fall right out of my ears. So of course, it would be helpful if I could get the rope itself not to fall out of my hands. Finish my protein shake and then we'll hit this. New name, who this? Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know me, my name is BullMuscle. For those of you who know me as Beer Battered Ag, yes, I'm going through a rebrand. This seems like a pretty good time to talk about that, so let's go ahead and talk about it. I'm a die-hard Aggie.
The eyes of Texas are upon you. That is the song they sing so well. Sounds like hell! So goodbye to Texas University. We're gonna beat you all to Chiggaroo-ga-rim, rock tough, real stuff, Texas A&M. Goodbye.
We get a little bit more all. So why can't I click all? Oh, yeah, there it goes. Nice. Alright, let's do one more bronze bar. If you adopt the mindset, and this is a quote from Jacob Fisker of Early Retirement Extreme, if you know that guy, 10 points to you. But it's a quote that I find unbelievably poignant in today's era. Spending money represents a failure to solve one's problems by smarter means. I'm gonna repeat that. Spending money represents a failure to solve one's problems by smarter means. That's painful. But yes, my friends, pure protein, as near as makes no difference, from raw egg whites. It's disgusting, the taste is vile, and it smells, but 100. Yeah, my poor roommate has to deal with the farts that come from this, and as you might imagine, they're not pleasant. But let me go ahead and knock this bad boy down. Oh, that's vile. Yep, nice and easy. We're done with that though.
The jump rope.
Yeah. Whenever I skip rope, I can't use these wireless headphones. They fall right out of my ears. So of course, it would be helpful if I could get the rope itself not to fall out of my hands. Finish my protein shake and then we'll hit this. New name, who this? Yes, sir. For those of you who don't know me, my name is... Good morning, everyone. Welcome on in. It is leg day. It is already pretty warm here, and we are about to get started. It's going to be a good day. Feeling it. Feeling solid today. Feeling all right. I got a decent amount of sleep. Hopefully that will result in pretty good lift. Leg day indeed. So you can get started. We're just a couple jumping jacks to warm up. I'll do. Don't even go nuts with it right now. So what do we got today? Well, today, I should probably not be such a dumbass with the angle, actually point it to where I'm at. Today, we've got ourselves leg day, and what kind of leg day? It's going to be a deadlift day. So we're going to be hitting deadlifts pretty tough. What we're going to do, we're going to start with Romanian deadlifts. We're going to start with Romanian deadlifts. We're going to work our way to standard deadlifts. We will work sets of deadlifts today, probably sumo deadlifts as well. We'll probably move to hang cleans, probably to split squats and calves after that. So that's sort of just a general gist of what we're doing today. I'm going to start just taking 125, bringing it down and warming up. I'm doing this without a belt because it's a warm-up set. The whole idea is just kind of get the range of motion. That'll do. Nothing too intense yet. All right, so we're going to start off with our first set of Romanians. I think we're going to go with 265 today. Alrighty. There we go. Nick, welcome on in. Yes, today is leg day. We are going to get it going. Let me need to adjust something real quick. Perfect. Morning, y'all. Welcome on in. We're going to go ahead and carry on. Hope y'all had a good night. Hope y'all been making good decisions this week. So I did my way in. As always, it is Financial Fitness Friday, but that is also Friday is my weigh in day. And the results were mixed. So on one hand, I weighed in it said 12.2% body fat, which I think is a bit optimistic. If I was at 12.2%, I think I'd have a little bit more definition in the lower abs and obliques. But on the negative hand, it said 211 flat. Now, I'm not entirely sure why this is, because I weighed in at 208 and change yesterday. So I think it's, I don't know, I think it's a lot water weight, just daily fluctuations. Saying good morning to the bot, okay. I think we're gonna start by moving you guys down here. That's gonna be a better view in terms of, yeah, we're deadlifting, so this is gonna be a Romanian, so that's gonna be about right. You'll be able to see all the whole range of motion. That's good, that's what we want. Oh, come on, Lord. I swear to God, my digestion is saying I may need to hit the toilet a third time this morning. If that happens, it's gonna kind of piss me off, because I weighed in after the first one, assuming, you know, like a normal person, that I wouldn't have to clear my bowels again. Lo and behold, we might just have to do that. Yeah, I'm feeling something coming on there. That's not ideal in the slightest. Oh well. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. First off, though, we need some music. this. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna do Romanian deadlifts. Again, the key with Romanians is it's all about going slow on the eccentric phase. It's about lowering the weight slowly. This is not meant to be uber heavy coming up. That's not the point. Here we go. Gotta keep the back tight. That's kind of the other goal here. Stretch out them hands. I'm losing my grip. That's frustrating. All right, we'll do 8. Try to get more on that later. I'll probably do an oppo grip. That's the trouble with that. Especially on the double forehand grip, I lose grip strength before I lose leg strength. Not much I can do about that. That's all right. All right, so we're gonna go to 325, I think, today. Morning, Phoenix. Welcome on in. Welcome to the bullpen, y'all. So it is glorious Friday morning. We're gonna talk financial fitness, but first we've got a deadlift day. So we got sets of 8 on this last time. I'm gonna see if we can't get 10. That'd be really great if we could. If I could rep sets of 10 at 325, I'd be pretty happy. That would definitely be a good way to start today. I feel like I can. The challenge is gonna be grip strength. I should get me some chalk at some point. Maybe I'll add that to my wish list. Just by the way, if you guys ever want to check out, you type in !wish list, it'll pop up. All right. Here's what we got: 35, 125, 215, 305, 325. That is 145-ish kilos. The trouble here, historically, has not so much been the raw strength required to lift this, but it has been the grip strength required to keep it. Oh. There we go. The grip strength is going to be hard today, ladies and gents. First set down, that's a solid good start. I think my plan so far is going to be with this for 4 sets. Depending on how we feel, I may try to go up weight. Maybe something along the lines of 375. And then we'll head back down weight for splits. Or not splits, sorry, sumos. I think that's the plan. Excuse me. How's the form on those deadlifts? It felt pretty good. I feel like my deadlifting form is pretty solid. Obviously, I guess you don't see the neutrality of my spine from this angle. If you guys want a side view, let me know. I can absolutely accommodate that. Hey, good morning. Good to see you as well. The trouble today with the humidity is it's going to make it quite difficult to retain grip strength. I'm going to do the best I can. So yeah, we're going to do 4 sets of this. I'm thinking we'll go up weight, do 2 sets, come back down weight. So I don't really care how many sets I do. You know, if I go up weight, right, even if I only get 1 or 2 reps at 375, after repping out 325, it's not as big a deal. Squeeze a good bell. Fair enough. All right. Okay. Let's hit this. Out of curiosity, what's the temp in here? Oh boy. Yeah. Not good. That is going to make this more difficult in the long run. That's okay. I may have to take a mid-workout rest or break anyway. Not a ton I think I'm going to be able to do about that. But if it happens, it happens, so we'll not worry about that. Here we go. Here we go. That's 10. Yes, sir. 2 down, 2 to go. Come on. 3 more. My lats are sore. That's good. I'm feeling from yesterday. Hey, it's Hector. Good to see you. Yeah. So, there's 2 schools of thought here. There's one that says go for the overhand double pronated Olympic rep. Another school that says alternate grip is okay. Now, I do agree. You can screw up your bicep if you just go one way. So notice, yeah, I went right hand under on that set. The previous I had done left hand under. This set I'm going to do left hand under again. Yeah, and the reason for that is if you switch, it keeps the balance a little bit better. Did I change your name? Boy, it has been a minute. Yeah, I've been BullMuscle now for quite some time. So the reason that I switched from beer battered ag to BullMuscle is multifaceted. The first is that, right, I'm sitting here preaching stoicism, preaching, only worry about that which you can control. And yet, I made my Twitch name and identity centered around Texas A&M, the university I went to 10 years ago. And you know, the actions of whom I can't control. I'm not happy with the Bobby Petrino hire, for instance, and it makes me upset, but then I stop and think, wait a minute. I'm talking about stoicism, only focused on that which I can control. Why am I worrying about this? So I went and looked for a rename. I've been looking to do that for several months, but came across BullMuscle, and it works on a lot of different facets. One, the chief reason is that I've got kind of, you know, some mantras I use to psych myself up before a heavy set. Strong like bull is one you probably hear me say a couple times. So it's good on that front. Another is that, you know, we talk financial independence and investing and all that on this channel, and I am very much an optimist. This means I'm a bullish kind of person, so it fits there as well. The other is that, for reasons I don't think I can say on Twitch, bull appeals to me in more ways than one, I'll put it that way, right? I don't believe in astrology, but I'm also a Taurus, so that's just kind of a cherry on the sundae there. And I generally tend to have the temperament of a bull. You know, normally I'm pretty chill, but if you piss me off, oh, leave me the fuck alone until I've either lifted or broken something. Love beer battery Eddie syndrome username. It's too long, that's the problem. That was the other thing. Like, I had other Twitch streamers straight up say, I'd like to raid you, but your name is so long I can't remember how to say it. And so I raided someone else. So I think BullMuscle is a better name in terms of like metrics too. Like, I think it's easier to remember, it's easier to tell people, it's a lot better. Lab boys, I'm not that stupid. If you had given me another 5 to 10 sets, like when I was really starting to, you know, and later you'll see it, I'm starting to pan overheat, I'd have probably fallen for that. Nice try. Not quite yet. It's sexy. Well, that's good, I guess. No, it's not even that I've learned to reread my chat. It's that a lot of the, you know, dirty jokes that I'm supposed to say, like that my chat baits me with, they usually say it late enough into the stream to where I'm exhausted and I'm not thinking as much. No, for a moment I was just about to say it, and I'm like, wait a minute. Because something didn't add up. I'm like, this guy does not follow A&M football. This guy, you must be fucking with me. Speaking of dingleberries, though, I may have to, I think after this set, I may go in and relieve myself again. The caffeine is having a not so great effect on my digestion. Third shift this morning. Sector, well, good. I think BullMuscle is going to stick. I've commissioned some art. You guys have seen it. It's my new profile pic. It's the picture that shows up when you subscribe. It's kind of all over my channel. So I think we're sticking with BullMuscle as a rebrand. I really like it. What do you think about the frogs turning gay? But it's a funny meme. As far as conspiracies related to Alex Jones are concerned, I'm a huge fan of the Alex Jones is just Bill Hicks putting on an act. Because Bill Hicks disappeared in the 90s, and that's sort of when Alex Jones came onto the scene. When are we getting music as a part of the stream? I can't, dude. I'll get copyrighted. Well, okay, so the way it works is I'll either get copyrighted or I can't upload it to YouTube. Saved up enough points to request a song. The coffee handling. You see, it's not coffee. I do caffeine pills. I don't like coffee. Oh, yeah, I can feel. All right, so what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to risk it here, risk it for the biscuit, do a third set, and then probably we'll take a quick intermission so I can relieve myself. Because deadlifting heavy weight when you need to take a shit is a bad idea. I'm feeling it slowly starting to come up. All right. extreme, but when nature calls, you gotta answer. All right. So this will be our third set at 325. Again, the trouble for me really isn't the weight. I'm not really having a huge problem getting this up. In fact, if anything, I could probably rep 10 a little bit heavier. The trouble for me at 325 is getting to the grip strength. I can already see like my calluses are starting to tear off. And it's, the humidity does not help in here because it makes the bar slicker. Speaking of, get any residual sweat off the bar. All right, so we're gonna do left hand under here. I'm on Twitch and I can't hear a single word. Yeah, see, that's the thing. People are telling me it's quiet, and then other people are telling me it's just fine, and I'm not quite sure. I can up the mic a little bit. There, how's that? Computer setup. You can play the music from a computer with people, and it won't show up in the VOD. I do have a computer setup. The trouble is I can't bring that computer setup into my garage to lift. Yeah, that's sort of the thing. And I don't think my laptop can really handle, playing music while I go. I redeemed a flex. Oh, did you? All right. You redeemed a pec bounce. There you go. You did not redeem a flex, I don't think. But here you go. Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, bum, bum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum. I wonder if you can sync the music with his headphones too, so you'd hear what he hears. So that's the thing. Maybe there's a way to do that, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'll request tremendous lifting music. I'll be honest, knowing you, yeah, see that's the thing. I know you're gonna recommend trolley songs, and I'm cool with that as long as you're not doing that like when I'm trying to hit the really heavy stuff. Ooh, my that's not a good sign. Okay. All right, we're gonna hit this. All right, so we've got 325. We're gonna try and rep this for 10 one more time, or one of two more times, and I'm gonna probably head in and use the bathroom after a set of Raiders. Let's do this. No, this doesn't look like I'm doing much, but this is expanding my rib cage. Okay. So, I'm afraid what I'm going to have to do now We're gonna take a quick intermission. If I can feel something happening down under, I can stripper, full arc. Record tracks like headphones, speakers, and etc. Use it through the headphones, record the speaker track to your VOD. Yeah, see, the trouble is my laptop can't process both like an internet browser and streaming at the same time. So I'm just plugging the laptop in. Y'all, we're gonna continue, but I've just got to use the bathroom. I'm really sorry. Breathing like you're having an episode? Yeah, I'm breathing heavy. The Raider pulls definitely make that tougher. All right, so I'm gonna switch to the BRB scene. Sorry about that, y'all. Oh my God, I needed that so badly. I have no idea. So, Liminal, I'm on an old laptop. I'm running Windows 10. I'm not running Windows 11 because Windows 11 is slow and shitty. And come on. It's just, OBS runs really, really slow when I have other programs rolling. I've tried. And I could upgrade to a newer laptop in a while, but I don't think that's truly necessary. I mean, that's a huge upgrade. The amount of money a new laptop would cost, I can put air conditioning in here, and frankly, one's going to do a whole lot better to improve my gains than the other. New laptop is nice, but priorities. Do I feel better? Sure did. I 100% had to take a lumbar. That was a midlift shit. That was bad too, like. I'm not trying to gross y'all out, but like I had a big pot of curry yesterday. I made this giant pot of Japanese curry, and between that and the caffeine pills this morning, just cleaned out my system. All right. Well, I think there's only one thing to do now, and that's our fourth set. So, we're gonna do one more set of 10 on this. I think what I'm gonna do is attempt 375. We'll see where that takes us. Sound like a plan? Okay, I really did need that though. Thank you so much for your patience and understanding. It's a good thing to note. I didn't realize my BRB did not loop. Career went through like crap through a goose. Pretty much. That's important. All right. Yeah, I gotta sit and take it easy. It's already pretty warm in here. And I'm really trying not to make excuses for why I'm going slowly, but I mean, this is heavyweight. Deadlifts are not something you really want to fuck with speed-wise. Because if you do them too fast, you're much more prone to hurt yourself. And I'd rather do it right and hit the set. Again, it's Friday. I've got nowhere to be today. The only thing I have to do is pack up for my trip to Boston on Sunday. Which, by the way, if any of y'all live in the greater Boston metro area and you'd like to meet up with me for a beer or for coffee or whatnot, let me know. Come talk to me on Discord. I would very much enjoy meeting more of my fans. Excited, really. I'm going up to Boston for a nuclear and radiological filtration class held jointly with MIT and Harvard. So I'm going to be around some pretty smart people. I'm really excited. Definitely going to feel kind of like a fish out of water, my southern ass being up there, but I'm sure they won't mind. I mean, I'm going to have a little badge that says what nuclear site I work at, and then it'll be really clear why I'm up there. It's pretty amazing some of the stuff that's happened out at my work site over the decades. I don't talk about it, but because I can't, but for those of you who know your physics, the neutrino was discovered at my work site. Get a ball in New England clam chowder. Yeah, that's the plan. Actually, I really want to do is eat a lot of healthy seafood up there. And don't get me wrong, the seafood here in the Carolinas is pretty good. It's very different up in New England. New England has very, very good seafood. Challenge is going to be getting it, in ways that aren't laden with fat. Like a lobster roll is really good, but it's a shit ton of mayo and cream, which is just pure fat. So I'm trying not to treat this one as much like a vacation in terms of diet. So what I'd like to do for August, the middle of August, I'm going out to Washington State, and I'm going to be out there I'm meeting up with my mom and some more of my relatives. But apparently, this is the reality of living in a traditional Catholic family. I'm reaching that age, and kids, if you have Asian parents, like if you are the child of Asian parents, it's the same sort of thing. Or Indian parents, they do this too. It's you were told focus on studying, focus on your career, right up until you hit 25, and then it's immediately why aren't you married yet? And so I think my relatives, now that I'm at 28, are starting to get a bit concerned, and so apparently apparently the greater Seattle metro area has a shortage of what they perceive to be real men. I guess there's a lot of soy boys up there, which I guess that kind of makes sense. Not trying to denigrate, the more progressive feminine man, but my family knows what it's about. And they view me very much in that more sort of traditional masculine role, which is flattering, but as such, I think they're trying to set me up with a couple people up there. And well, if I'm gonna do that, I better bring my A game, We'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting for sure. Enough dogleg. Let's hit this. I need to repaint the buckle on this. It's starting to rust. Sand it down, repaint it. I might do that today. I'm gonna add that to my to-do list. Maintain weight belt. This is a really nice belt. Lab Boys actually gave it to me as a gift, so I want to treat it right. It's just unfortunately part of living in South Carolina. The humidity means naturally it's going to rust over time. All right, here we go. So yeah, we're gonna do, this is right hand under. I want to try for 10. I've got 3 sets of 10, so I'd like to get a 4th here. It's gonna be hard. I can tell I'm a bit lightheaded. We'll make it work. It would help if I could get my music going, please. Just play Cemetery Gates. It's not hard. Oh well. Here we go.
Not bad. All right. 375 is what we're going to do next.
Well, Seattle catch a Mariners game for the get punch of the dick, the trade deadline. Facts. Hey, Jordan, good to see you. So this is expanding the rib cage of the goal here. see how much that helps expand my rib cage. It's good shit. South Israel bricked their pants, it wasn't from the scowling chili. Ooh. That's not good if burrows hurt. All right, so we're gonna hit we're gonna hit 375 here. This will not be easy. He sprained his calf on an NC drill. This is the thing. And this is why I don't like the NFL very much. The NFL has done so much to protect their quarterbacks because quarterback is seen as, such a valuable position. And that's all well and good. But football is it's a risky game. Injuries are just gonna happen, and there's only so much you can do to prevent them. So this idea of protecting the quarterback at all costs to the detriment of the rest of the game, I think it's not a good one. I mean, when Dan Marino broke the first 4,000 yard season, I think that was 1983? That was seen as a near unbreakable record at the time. And now, right, you can argue, okay, well, there have been better quarterbacks since. And I won't debate that. But now, it's, pedestrian quarterbacks, slightly above average quarterbacks will hit, 4,000 yards in a season. Like, it's nothing. And people say, oh, well, offensive scheming has gotten better. I'm not sure. I think, very easy to say that, but I'm not sure any offensive mastermind quite compares to the greatest show on turf of the 90s, or a lot of those Bills offenses, the run and shoot in the 80s. I'm more convinced that the rules have been massaged to cripple defenses, to limit what you can do as a defensive scheme, and limit being able to hit wide receivers, punish them for making reckless routes, and punish quarterbacks for throwing hospital passes at them. But I'm not sure I approve of that. Okay, so we're gonna we got 2 more sets on deads here. Hey, Animal Crossing, welcome on in. Good morning. All right, we got 375, y'all. Y'all ready for this? Let's hit it. I'm gonna psych myself out, and we're gonna hit this. The key here for me is keep my spine neutral. Even if it means I have to sacrifice a rep or two, doing a rep with bad form at weight this high is not worth it from a safety perspective. Actually, what did I do last time on this? Let's find out. I want to see if I can top it. I think I'm gonna go for 5. Hopefully I can get it. If I have to stop at 3 or 4 though, that's that. Again, not worth the potential risk of injury. Especially before going on a trip where I'm going to be on a plane for several hours. If I hurt myself, especially hurt my back now, that would be agony. I don't want to do that to myself. All right. Here we go. 375. Get some hyper chat. to see you. Looking great as usual. Well, wonderful. Means you're perhaps longer time lurker who's first time chatting. I always love seeing people speak up for the first time. Welcome in, Rainbow. That was hard. That was. There we go. That was 375 pounds. So this will be the last time you set or go down to do sumos. Finally speaking, I have time to interact. Fantastic. I love to hear it. Going through your bio, like advocate living well below your means, start trying that out. Was really challenging in a country like Singapore. Yes, Singapore is one of the most expensive places to live on earth. It is harder to do there. There are ways to do it, but it is a lot tougher to do there. For those of you who don't know, I will be able to retire at age 29 because I've chosen to get a decent paying job, maybe not worth as much as I would get in a big city, but in a much lower cost of living area. I live like a king on well under $20,000 United States. I live in rural South Carolina, which is also why I'm sweating buckets here. Bergeron retired and say that everyone's for squandering the accountants less for go to the church and ask God to forgive you. That guy's going to the hall. Patrice Bergeron is one of the best players to ever pass through that storied franchise. And with guys like Bobby Orr, that's saying a lot. They got to retire 37 up in Boston. If they don't, that is a travesty. Bergeron has earned it for sure. Okay, so we got one more set of this. Yeah, Rainbow, I'm really happy. I love it when longtime lurkers speak up. I know a lot of y'all are shy. I promise you I won't bite. I love giving advice, and it really makes me happy to have new people talking in chat. Really makes my day. Yeah, the method to my madness on the financial independence / early retirement front is very simple. I live, well below my means. I save north of 80% of my income. Now, I am willing to part with some of that income to put a goddamn air conditioning unit in here. This is quite miserable. It's about 30 degrees C in here, but it's very humid. And even, 30 degrees C, that's 86 Fahrenheit. It's very different when you're putting up large amounts of weight. There's a lot of meetings at work. You're in Europe. I gotcha. Yeah, I actually have a fair, I looked at the metrics. It's like 50 to 55% of my audience is American. Maybe another 10% are from the rest of the Western Hemisphere. But a large chunk of my audience comes from Europe and Asia, and the reason is because I stream in the mornings here, which is afternoons in Europe and evenings / nights in Asia. So it ends up being pretty good international. So if I want to go do leg day today, I really don't want to. If you've rested up, get in there and fucking do it, man. Don't make excuses for yourself. Never shame anybody based off of them being fat, or based off of them being skinny, or based off of them being out of shape. Only shame people who make bullshit excuses. Okay, we're gonna hit this. starting to wonder, since I'm hitting deads this heavy, whether or not I should hit the full 30 reps today, or 30 sets today rather. I'm starting to think maybe I shouldn't, just because I'm going really slow on this, but you kind of have to. And with heat levels like this and with intensity levels like this, it's not realistic to expect myself to go very quickly, especially if I'm trying to stream it. I naturally recover less when I'm streaming because I'm talking all this time, and it means having to focus on that. I'm not really focusing on breathing, getting max oxygen to recover my muscles. All right. That being said, I'll hit this pretty good here. So we're gonna go right hand under this time. I'm gonna try to hit this for another couple of reps. Probably won't go too crazy, but we'll see where it goes. What did we do last time on deads for sumo? I'm down to 250. Okay, we'll move to 265. I like that. I'm good with that. Here we go. Strong like bull. Strong like fucking bull. Sleeping in the trash. That's all I got. Oh, where is he? Holy shit. Whoa. So high. Colors turn to sound. Goodbye. Let us in and we'll let you in the ground. Holy shit. That was intense. That was hard. I'm shaking. Joe Valiant's from a skinny Broadway bag. Well, I don't know much about heroin, but I want to try just about everything once before I die. Do not do hard drugs, kids. If you listen to the lyrics in an Alice in Chains song, you'll realize why. But, oh, it's a good thing to work out. All right, we're gonna do sumos at 265. Oh. I think this is an early cut before facelift. It's from 1989. And it's Alice in Chains with the Ross. Like, Jerry Cantrell's fucking shredding on this track. All right, let's do sumos. All right. Sumos are tough for me just because I've got long legs, so I really gotta get wide. Hey, Kelsey, good to see you. air conditioning unit isn't necessary in South Carolina. It's not a necessary, but it really does make a big difference. I have to do these workouts in the mornings. Like Thursday afternoons, right? Like I was playing RuneScape yesterday, and I'm making my rest days Thursdays now because I'm working on Thursdays, and as a result, I can only lift at 5 in the afternoon. And by that point, because of the heat here, and because I have 2 electric cars, my roommate's got one and I've got one, makes it extraordinarily difficult to keep this air, to keep this at a reasonable temperature. By the time 5 o'clock rolls around in here, it's at minimum 95 degrees in this garage. In reality, closer to 100 or 105. That's between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius in here. And I don't care who you are not going to perform at the same level at that kind of heat. You won't. You can be as athletic as you want, but you are going to perform better in a cooler environment. That's how it is. All right, so we've got 3 sets of sumos. Hey, Mikey, good to see you. Kelsey, good to see you. When are leg days? So I do a push-pull leg split. So the way it works is I'll do a leg day, I'll do a push day, I'll do a pull day. Typically I work out Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays right now. I used to do Thursday afternoon workouts, but the aforementioned heat makes it difficult. Even now, it's getting deep into the 80s in here. It'll probably get close to 90 in here by the end of the workout. Because remember, not only do my cars put off heat and the roof and the walls getting baked by the outside South Carolina sun, but I'm basically a giant heat unit, heat generator in this garage. I'm putting off massive amounts of heat. Derek Wildstar, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. So there's your answer, Kelsey. It alternates. It's legs. Today's a leg day, for instance. And yes, deadlifts are a leg exercise. If you're not using your legs deadlifting, you're putting too much emphasis on your back. Okay, lightheaded. Yeah, that is tough. That was really hard. It may have only been a set of 3. It may not have looked like a lot of reps, and it wasn't, but 375 pounds. That's my 6th set of deadlift. After 4 sets of 10 at 325, and then a set of 4 at 375. That's a lot. I think reasonably soon we're going to get to the point where my grip starts failing. We'll see. I'm going to do overhand on this, and we'll see how that goes. It may well be that I have to do alternating grip here as well. All right, so this. So sumo deadlift, same concept as a regular dead, keep your spine neutral, but wide grip. A lot of people say this is easier. They can get more weight on a sumo. I don't understand that at all because I certainly can. There we go. That's the grip. Come on. Leg strength, the grip strength ain't there. There's no way. We're doing another set of pullovers. Half rack, smoking till it's all black. Death trap, watch me go in blind. Oh. 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 The key is to really expand that chest. Try to get as much oxygen in when you're pulling back. 5, 6, shittiest Apple commercial. You know, fuck Apple, by the way. iPhone gets updates. Literally every phone on the market gets updates. Why are you bragging about that? It's like bragging that your car has doors and windows. All right, so we're done pullovers. You have really great pecs. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you. I try to be humble, but I'm really aware that my pecs are my strongest muscle. Like, I definitely can tell. I'm a bit of a recovering bench bro. They've just always been my strong suit, right? So they take my PRs, and I don't think I could hit these right now because I'm not on a bulk, but my PRs are 405 for squat and 435 for deadlift, which are okay for a guy my size, but my bench is 355, and that's really good. If I had to sit here and do a max out for all three, right, if I did 375 for a set of 4 as my 5th rep, I'm guessing my max dead is somewhere around 415 to 420, 425 maybe. My squat's probably, well, okay, so I was a touch, I did a rep on 400 the other day, and this was after doing lots of sets of 315, and my rep just wasn't quite deep enough for me to count it, but I got 375 with ease, so I'm guessing my squat's 390, 395 right now. My deadlift, I'd probably bet 335, 340, 345. Practically speaking. All right, so same thing, sumo deads. The grip is failing me. Come on. Yeah, I'm starting to lose grip. That's just gonna make it harder. I'm just gonna have to live with it. We got one more set. We got Romanians, hang cleans. Oh man, we got a lot left. Went for work probably around months ago. Packed machines to go to the gym. Hell yeah. Love to hear it, Rainbow. You said you were from Europe, by the way? Where in Europe? I've always wanted to visit. Unfortunately, due to my day job, I can't leave the United States. Uncle Sam doesn't like it when I leave the United States. You have a nice V-line too. Any tips for that? Diet mostly? Diet and ab work. Now, these deadlifts, watch my abs. It's hard because I got the belt on, but you'll notice my abs are locked and they are tight. A good deadlift or squat workout will get your abs on fire by the end of it if you're doing it properly. Your abs should be fucking tight. Because you're using your lower back in either exercise. Not as the primary muscle, but as one of the muscles. God, look at my hands, they are shredded. That's why I'm losing my grip right there. Drake, thank you very much for the forum comment. But yeah, as far as the V-line's concerned, that's eating right. And if you guys want diet advice, I'll happily give it. I'm a big fan of if it fits your macros. and minerals, you're gonna be killing it. Just really, it's the same advice you've been taught since you were a kid. Don't eat ultra-processed crap. Go for healthy foods, lots of vegetables, good lean meat, eggs, dairy. If you're vegetarian, you can do that too. If you're vegan, that's hard mode for bodybuilding. But I'll tell you what, I have shit tons of respect for vegan bodybuilders. That is hard as hell. To get all the protein you need within a reasonable amount of calories as a vegan is extremely difficult. So like, people hate on vegans, and some vegans do get really obnoxious, but if you have a bodybuilder that's vegan, dude, that is someone with a lot of discipline. Problem for me is I live in Bumfuck, South Carolina, so being vegan or vegetarian here would be a lot more expensive than eating meat. I am fully aware that's due to factory farming, but look, I need cheap protein. Unfortunately, that's how the market reality is. I ain't going and shopping at some fucking Whole Foods. I ain't doing that. Look, my whole deal is about trying to get, looking like this on a budget, financial independence. Perhaps in the future, as I become more and more financially independent, as my net worth begins to accumulate from the stock market, I'll look into buying, maybe more organic or farm-to-table stuff, but I can't do that yet. And frankly, even if I wanted to, that option isn't available to me here. This is a view line. Sometimes really it goes way fast, I don't know what it's doing. It's a diet thing. Kelsey, it's absolutely a diet thing for the most part. All right, so we got a third set here. All right, so I think this one's right palm under, so we did left palm under last time. We'll do this, we'll do two sets of Romanians, and then we're done with deads. We'll move to hang cleans. 1, 2, 3. That's 8. All right, so we're at 4, 6, 9, 12, 15. God, we're only 16. We're only halfway through the workout. But that being said, the second half will go a lot faster. Your abs are a strong suit too long, your chest really, really toned. So, yeah, Kelsey, I live in bumfuck South Carolina. Okay, my town isn't big enough to be classified as urban. I am a rural resident. The U.S. government classifies my location as rural, and I would say they're correct. I live in a small southern town to describe where I live, imagine Mayberry from the Andy Griffith Show. It's an old reference, look it up. It's a TV show from the 50s and the 60s that even back in those days was seen as hokey and old-fashioned. But my town is like Mayberry from the Andy Griffith Show if you added more Confederate flags. That's what it is. It's a small town in Bumfuck, South Carolina. It's just how things are here. I don't like that there are Confederate flags all over the place here, but it's something you learn to live with living out here. 4 is south down a 13-mile gravel road with no lights. That's a little too rural for me. I like the fact that I live in a small town. I know all my neighbors. They ask me for favors like lifting heavy shit, because I live in a town with a lot of older residents. And then I get fresh fruit from them. Like, my neighbor, well, really all around the town, grows these wonderful scuppernong grapes. And if you're from the southeast, you know what I'm talking about, but they're these it's a wild type of grape that's really only native to the Carolinas. And I grow them, I eat them, I make wine out of them, it's fantastic. Then you got pears that come in the fall. You got lemons and oranges in the winter. Peaches, oh my god, the peaches here. Now this year's crop failed, but usually the peaches are excellent here. Of course, they actually are under threat from an invasive tree called the tree of heaven, which is it's an invasive piece of crap from China that attracts the spotted lanternfly. The spotted lanternfly is a plague on peach crops. So if you live in the Carolinas, better still if you live further north where they're all over the place, Virginia, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, fucking rip out those trees, please. If you like fresh Carolina peaches, do us a favor and cut them off at the pass. Please. That is a huge industry around here. I mean, you guys have to remember, right, the reason Georgia is called the peach state, and the reason South Carolina has the peachoid, right, is because, you know, in the 1800s, these were the two big cotton-producing states of the eastern part of the South, right? Frankly, that was all done by slave labor. And slavery is absolutely wrong, and it's a good thing the North won the war, but that left the South with a completely devastated economy and very little manufacturing capability. So the South had to come up with a new crop that didn't require slave labor to make it profitable. So what did the South largely switch to after the war? Well, the answer ended up becoming peaches. So peaches is sort of, in a way, a symbol of Reconstruction here and a symbol of getting past the antebellum days. So it's a very, the peaches, the Georgia and the Carolina peaches it's something we're very proud of here. Because they taste fantastic, one, and two, again, it's an improvement over the previous cash crop, I guess I'll put it that way. So yeah, if you see the Chinese tree of heaven or the spotted lanternfly, rip that shit out, call your local Department of Agriculture, they're invasive, and they are really bad. Same thing with the Bradford pear tree. Southern Missouri, lots of Confederate flags. Not where I'm in St. Louis though. That's always, Missouri is the most schizo state, man. Like, it's very clearly, it has an identity crisis because Missouri is, like St. Louis is under no illusions, you know, St. Louis anything other than a Midwestern city. St. Louis is very clearly the Midwest. Kansas City is also the Midwest, although they do have a southern tier level of barbecue, which good on them. But, and I would also, Columbia, any Missouri Tigers fans in chat, no, you don't belong in the SEC. You need to go back to the Big 12 so that way you can face Kansas because the border war was an amazing football game and we all miss it. So like St. Louis, Columbia, you know, even Jefferson City, Springfield, anything north of the Missouri River, that's all Midwest to me. But then like, you know, like fucking Branson is absolutely the South, you know? Not Springfield. Springfield's down southwest Missouri. What am I saying? You know what I'm talking about though. My brother went to Kansas as a Jayhawk. Like seriously, it pissed me off so bad that Missouri bitched out of the border war because they were able to play Kansas in a bowl game. That shit would have been great. Seriously, as far as, right, I'm an A&M fan, so I get it. Rivalries have been put on ice for 10 years because we haven't played the T-Sips in a while. But, dude, Kansas, Missouri is such an underrated game. Because like literally, the reason it's called the border war, you know, goes back to bleeding Kansas, and you know, the Jayhawkers were known as the abolitionists, the free states in the 1850s and early 1860s, and I think they were the bushwhackers were the ones who came over from Missouri to try and make it a slave state, make Kansas a slave state. That's fantastic in terms of like the lore behind a football game. You sit here and tell me that isn't a baller ass lore. Like that's just cool. I'm sorry, it's cool. It's a really good tie-in. Anyway, I'm done. Like I need to just fucking go. Let's hit this. Dude, one thing I love about St. Louis, I will say, is how affordable and walkable it is. St. Louis was a city that, you know, grew big before the car, like a lot of Midwestern cities. And as such, there's loads of neighborhoods where you don't need a car to live in, but it's not, you know, unaffordable like other walkable cities like New York or DC. Only problem with St. Louis is the crime rate is obscene. I feel so bad for the cops in St. Louis. That is a hard job. All right, here we go, Romanians. So again, the key is the eccentric here. 2, 3.
I'm losing breath. That's 6. That's all I got. That's okay. I think I'm gonna go down to 215. I just don't have the grip strength to continue doing this. That's okay. So I conceal and carry? Let's fucking go. Oh, holy mother of based. Shall not be infringed, motherfucker. Let's go. Much respect. Oops. Did my headphones really just die? No. Don't die on me, please. Yeah, my headphones just ran out of battery. Oh, no, there they are. They're back. Yeah, no, I like St. Louis. God, the crime rate is shocking there. St. Louis is a great city, but you don't really need to get a handle on the crime rate. That's bad. Oh my God. Oh, that's been building for a while. How's the stream going? Well, we hit 30 viewers, so I will give y'all handstand push-ups at the end of the lift. But right now, I'm just trying to struggle, survive through deadlifts. This is not easy. There we go. Romanians. Last set of Romanians. We're nearing the end of the hard part. It gets a lot easier from here. We're gonna do like calves and shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're done. With that. Okay. So do some hand cleans. We're gonna go 145 for this. Yeah, I need to clean up in here. It's kind of dirty and dusty. Throw in the vacuum. That'll be the key. so I'm gonna keep my belt off for this. What we're gonna do now are 3 sets of hand cleans, so that's that, right? I'm rapidly running out of battery power as well, so I'm gonna have to speed it up. There's nothing I can do. My garage has it way worse. I'm crushing it. It's America though, at least when if I scream, people can hear. Yeah. What hand cleans? This is brutal. The only other real knock I have on Missouri is that it's very much got that continental Midwest climate, which means it is hot in the summer and it is cold in the winter. You do get 4 seasons, but they're 4 very extreme seasons, right? It's not like Virginia or Maryland, for instance. It's warm in the summer, but usually doesn't get too far into the 90s. You'll see highs at or around 90 degrees most of the summer. Pennsylvania, you'll see highs in the 80s. St. Louis, you'll see highs close to 100 much of the time. And then in the winter, you're going to get winters worse than Virginia or Maryland. That's the trouble I have with a lot of the Midwest. The weather is just atrocious. Hopefully climate change will make the winters a little bit less bad. I could see myself moving to a city like St. Louis someday. Other ones that I've had interest in would be Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Cleveland. I like a lot of I ain't no damn Yankee, but a lot of the Midwest cities are just laid out better for the future, especially as climate change gets worse and worse, to withstand it. A city like Cleveland is going to do just fine through climate change. And in fact, it will probably thrive because the winters will become a little bit more bearable. A city down here, take Savannah, right? The lovely city of Savannah is going to have some major problems due to flooding, sea level rise, and heat waves. Down here. Now, we're going to be okay, a little bit better here. The closest big city to me is Augusta, but we're still going to see our fair share of problems too. Hasn't gotten too hot here this year. We've had 1 or 2 days close to or at 100 beyond. Just the humidity makes it hard. Anyway, hand cleans. 2, 3, 4. It'll be all right. You should stop. Having more seasons can help depression. Yes, to an extent. Usually 85 to 95. That's not too bad. 102 today? Oh, so that's almost as hot as Texas. And you don't get the winters that Texas does. You get Missouri winters. But here, right, it'll be, typically the highs are usually in the low to mid 90s in the summer. But as you can imagine, it is very humid. Winter isn't really a thing here. We'll get 1 or 2 weeks at or around freezing where the highs are in the 30s or 40s, and that's the coldest it'll get. The average high here in January is 60. Again, winter doesn't really exist in South Carolina. Only place it does is you get into the foothills of the Appalachians. Upstate, you get some semblance of a winter. It's still pretty mild, but here in the Midlands, and especially in the Low Country, winter isn't a thing. But summer is 6 months long, or 5 months long here, really. Middle of May through the end of September, 4.5, I guess. All of June, all of July, all of August. The majority of September and at least half of May, I would say, is summer here. All right, we have 2 more sets on this. We're gonna hit calves, splits, and that'll be about it, I think. That's gonna be all we got battery power for. Laptop's starting to run low, so I need a little bit of music. Keep me going. Come on. 2, 3, 4. We don't need to do full body press today. That's 8. That's good. One more set of that. It was -7 for an entire week. Holy shit. That's terrible. Why would you want that? Fucking Midwesters, man. Who would want that? Why is -7 desirable? You have to clue me in on that one. I mean, I don't mind the cold, like 20 or 25, and live with that. You're Russian? You're a Russian descent? That makes sense. I'm of, I mean, right, I call myself American because I have to go all the way back to one of my grandparents immigrated from Germany. Their lineage traced back to Prussia, was now in Poland, but was then Germany. But I don't consider myself any other ethnicity than American. Unless you immigrated, you're an American to me. You could say you're of, I'm of German and British Isles descent, so usually I think it's Northern Ireland, Northern England, and Southern Scotland, and Germany is where most of my ancestry comes from, but no, I'm American. And I'd rather be nothing else, too. Nothing better than being from this fucking country. You're born in St. Petersburg, 94, you came to American City in 95, well then yeah, you're Russian. Dude, this must have been an interesting last year or two for you. And don't answer this if you don't feel like it, but maybe you have a unique insight or perspective on the current war in Ukraine. If you have any thoughts, by all means share them. I don't care what side you're on, but I would guess that means you probably have an interest in the war. I actually dated a girl who was, this is a long time ago, it was more than 10 years ago. I actually dated a girl who was a descendant of one of the Romanovs, which is kind of neat. So, we did bond over a mutual distaste for communism. Come on. 2, 3, 4. Actually, we got cats next, so it's legit awful. I've had people stop being my friend or nothing. That's piss ignorant. You're not Vladimir Putin. You don't control that. That's dumb. Frankly, it's racist too. Just with I don't care how it ends at this point. I frankly, if I was Zelensky, this is the play I would make. Frankly, there was a large chunk of what is now Ukraine that had huge Russian minorities in it, Crimea in particular, that were just going to be nonstop headaches for the country. They were always going to be doing shit like this. Of course, Russia's fomenting a lot of that discord. And that's bullshit, and it's really fucking disgusting, but Russia's, big enough to be able to wield that power. Frankly, a real way to win this war for Ukraine is for us fat fucking Americans to stop consuming so much oil. If we did, we'd start exporting more, and we'd crush the Russians and the Saudis while we were at it under our boots. That's what I would like to see. Nobody's interested in what I have to say on the matter. Americans, I love this country. Again, I really do. There's one thing that pisses me off about our country. It's short-term thinking, and it's the wastefulness. God, we produce more oil than the Saudis do. The problem is we're so fucking wasteful that we consume all of it. We don't export any. If we had just even remotely more discipline for consuming oil, we'd have the Russians right where we wanted them. Real fucking simple. All right, so this, I'm actually gonna take my shoes off. I wanna try doing barefoot some calves a little bit. Also want to preserve those shoes because those have a flat foot, but they're also pretty cheap, so I don't want to ruin them doing calves or doing split squats. We're going to be less wasteful, not for that reason. Dude, no, I absolutely want to. Dude, I want leverage, frankly. Look, the United States is not a perfect country, but I personally believe that we've done a better job managing things than any other global empire has. Certainly better than the British, already better than the Soviets, and I think we're going to be a better, more palatable option than the Chinese. Yeah, we're not perfect, but if that's the case, we want American hegemony. I never know how to say that word correctly, but to last as long as possible. If that's the case, controlling the global supply of oil by being a massive exporter would drastically help us in that regard. Anyway, let's do this. This actually feels pretty good. Shit, maybe I need to squat barefoot. That's my take. That's fair. We don't need to meet. That's true. Well, those stick their nose where it don't belong. We didn't give so much money to Ukraine. I mean, that's probably true. But if that were the case, Ukraine probably wouldn't exist. Kiev would have probably fallen. You can argue whether or not that's what is a better future. I don't really know. That being said, I will tell you one thing where we did fuck up. In the 90s, we needed to give the post-Soviet bloc the same sort of Marshall Plan that we gave Western Europe in the 40s, right? 50 years, I mean, it strains credulity. Me to sit here and say, right, a Marshall Plan was needed to rebuild countries that have been ravaged by, what, 6 years of fascism versus 60 years of communism? No, we missed a golden opportunity in the early 90s. I will totally agree with that. We fucked up that play. Actually, Richard Nixon, of all people, called that. Used to be Russia's land anyway, so I'm not saying it's okay, but it's happened before. That's true. Crimea certainly was. I know Odessa has actually historically got a lot of ties to like the Russian Empire. Of course, the Russians are now dropping missiles on it, so that's not ideal, but let's hit another set of caps. There we go. an interesting perspective. I appreciate you giving it, Kelsey. Thank you. Don't get me wrong, I don't think America needs to stick their nose in and let someone deal with it. You mean like the Europeans, the ones who have been slacking off on the defense spending since 1991? Well, I will say I have strong criticisms for, in particular, the fucking Germans, for how they've handled their economy, and they've handled their dependence on Russian gas the last 20 years. It's fucking stupid, frankly. Prematurely shutting down your nuclear plants and replacing it with lignite coal and gasoline is like saying, lignite coal and imported Russian gas is a bit like saying, I care about the environment, so I've started flying a private jet to work instead of using a car. It's insane. All right, come on. Let's do a set of split squats, I think. Let's see how split squats feel with this. I've never done these barefoot. America needs to not piss off Russia. Well, the trouble with Russia is that what we needed to do and what we didn't do in the early 90s was help the Russian economy transition from a truly fucking backwards communist system in the 80s to a free market related system. Because we did not help the Russians do that in a large part in the way we helped the Germans in the 1940s and the French and the Italians and basically every other country that was destroyed by World War II. The shock therapy, which is, again, a really stupid economic policy under Yeltsin, who I can make the argument of a lot of bad Russian leaders, Yeltsin might be among the worst. I mean, what Russia went through in the 1990s would have been, imagine the US Great Depression multiplied by 3, and that's more or less what the Russian economy did through the 90s, which is insane. I mean, that is a huge fall off, and I feel like we should have gone with a Marshall Plan 2.0 to try and fix that. Eric Holmes, good to see you. Thanks for the first time chat. Hey, we don't have to get political on this. I just think it's an interesting conversation because you're of Russian descent. I like listening to your perspective on that. I see what would have been really cool is an alternate timeline in which Russia more successfully transitions to a more laissez-faire economy, reforms democratically, sort of the way Poland and Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have, and maybe at some point would have joined the EU. I think that would have been a fantastic thing. But it wasn't meant to be. Come on. Let's see here, 4, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, yeah. All right, I think we're gonna do 2 more sets here and then we're gonna call it quits because we're running out of battery power. Economic partners are Russia. So that's the problem. I think we should have looked at Russia not as an adversary after 1991, but dropped the Cold War mindset and tried to help them integrate with the rest of the EU. America can be expected to protect everyone, you know. That's true. And I will absolutely hold the Western European countries' feet to the fire. But yeah, we can move it along, move it to a different conversation. Sorry about bringing it up. I just, you know, when you said that, I had to get your perspective. I was just too interested not to ask. All right, let's hit this. Last set. I would do more, but I'm running out of battery power. Here we go. Come on. Okay, I think we're done. Can't shoot right down. It's always the same. Having another breakdown. It's driving me insane. Alright. We're heading inside. We're gonna have some we're also gonna talk finances, because today is financial fitness Friday, y'all. Get some hype. All right. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, my laptop's getting warm too. It's heating up just like I am. Agree to disagree and let's move on. Hey, Christopher, good to see you. Weekday shooting with military weapons, fun. Go enjoy it, man. Dude, Kelsey, can you, you're not on my Discord. Can you post pictures? I'd love to see what you got to shoot with. Excuse me. Please, I would love to see all your shit on the Discord. Come check it out there. I'd love to get a little bit more information on that. Okay, so we are done with a leg day. There we go. Just trying to catch my breath. Holy Cadelco. That was tough. Ended up doing, I think, 4 sets of calves and 2 sets of split squats. So we ended up doing, let's see, 4, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20, 23, 27 sets. So we got 90% of a workout in. That's not bad. I'll take it. I'll take that. Not ideal, but recommended apps for you. Tesla. No, I don't own a Tesla. Why would I want that? All right, so we will do handstand push-ups. I let the laptop charge up a bit, hitting technical constraints a bit here, so it's at like 15%. Anyway, in the meantime, I have already done my abs today, but I could probably do a little, I could probably bang off some conventional push-ups. That might be fun. All right, let's go ahead and do those.
Yeah, Kelsey, please, if you're, hopefully you heard. I hope Kelsey shows up in the Discord and shows off all the weapons, their weapons. It'll be cool. That would be pretty neat, actually. All right. All right. We're gonna, yeah, I'll do some push-ups here. I'm just trying to. Oh. Oh my God. Okay, so it's for those of you who don't do really heavy leg days, this being deadlifts, squats, zerchers, front squats, exercises like that, maybe you don't really understand, or full body presses, cleans, like the pain right now below my waist is just, oh my God, it is awful. All right, that doesn't stop me though. Come on, let's do a few push-ups. Let the laptop charge a bit. We'll talk financial fitness, and then I'll do some handstand push-ups. Y'all have earned that. It's just I need the laptop to charge before I can. Alrighty. Woo! That's good. That's not bad. So, what are we gonna do now? We're gonna talk financial fitness. So I need to switch the scene. Boom. See the clock, the countdown timer a little bit better. Welcome to Financial Fitness Fridays. So the way these streams work is that I talk about my journey towards financial independence, that being savings, investments, and any other money questions y'all have, as well as diet and fitness, as per the norm. So, chat, I'm gonna open it up to you. Ask me anything. I'd love to talk about that. Further, I gotta answer a few things. So I posted in a different server that I built actually, and I'm a longtime fan of. I posted, I think I already know the answer, let's find out. Post this and let this server decide what you're most known for. I got 2 responses. I got a couple responses. The idiot savant of the server, that tracks. That tracks. I can't say that's wrong. All you did to turn your life around was have A&M break you so badly at this event by doing exercise. You're not the same again after that. I'm proud of you, dude. And before it got better, actually. All right. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. Sorry, I had a few things I had to answer. Sorry about that, y'all. Oh my gosh, Christopher, thank you very much for gifting some subs to Eric Holmes. That's very kind of you. I do appreciate it. All right, I think we have enough, just enough, battery power to do the handstand push-ups. Let's see handstand push-up hype. I got 21%, really rather. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. Okay, so I guess I'll run through the basics on financial fitness. While we're here, I'll check the stock market. That's probably worth doing.
see. We got, okay, it looks like a mixed bag sort of day. NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow are very slightly up, substantially less than 1%. The Federal Reserve increased rates by another quarter point yesterday. I think this was probably a good move, but I would be worried that the Fed is maybe raising it too fast, and we're going to see a little bit more effects of disinflationary policy in the coming months. So I'm hoping what the Fed does is continue being open to raising interest rates, but letting a few more months worth of data come in before making a rash move. What the Fed shouldn't want to do is raise interest rates so far that it artificially creates a recession. It was necessary to do that, say, in the late 1970s due to double-digit inflation, but inflation only peaked at around 8 to 9% here in the United States. It's already come way down. And I've noticed this, like just with store prices, for instance. So I think, and this is cautious optimism, I think the quote-unquote soft landing the Fed has been hoping for, we're gonna see. And as a result, I think the market is starting to warm up to that idea as well, which is why we've seen a good recovery in the stock market the last few months. So let's take a look at my watch list here. Home Depot stock has been going pretty well. I ended up selling that. I shouldn't have, kept on rising. It's up to 330 now, which is fantastic. That was a mistake. I sold it at 320. Oh well. I didn't have that much of it. Let's see what else we've got. Yep, S&P is up. VTI, which is my beloved, is also up. Actually, where do I go? I need to add. There we go. Yep, it's up. Wow, almost 1%. That's actually terrific. Let's see. Everything else is pretty flat. A lot of my more risky growth plays appear to be up today, but not by a ton. Coinbase has been a pretty good performer for me the last few months. I bought in midway through 2022, so I still got socked in the mouth. But I'm able now, now it's floating around $100 a share. It's easy for me to sell covered calls and start lowering my cost basis that way. I've got between 100 and 200 shares of it, so we'll see where that goes. I think I am bullish long-term on Coinbase. I think it is the crypto play that has done the most to achieve regulatory compliance, and the SEC has just been brutal on the crypto industry, rightfully so after the fall of FTX. But the problem with crypto in the United States right now is that there is no regulatory framework to match what crypto is. The SEC is using old tests, from the 1930s and 1940s to determine whether or not crypto is a security, and I don't think that's quite the right way to do it. I think you've got to modernize the approach that the SEC is taking, and I don't think Gary Gensler has been willing to do that. Thankfully, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Congress appears to be taking the issue on, which is a good thing. And it seems to be bipartisan, by the way. Both Democrats and Republicans seem to want to modernize crypto legislature and create a regulatory framework for cryptocurrency, which is, again, not something I would have expected congressional bipartisanship on. But as a centrist, of course, I enjoy that kind of thing. That makes me quite happy. What do you think of the digital euro initiative? Have you heard anything about that? I think it's a good play. I think digital currencies in general are a pretty good play. Yes, the potential for government abuse does exist because it's much easier to track than physical currency. I think provided the government is still willing to issue physical currency, digital currency is perfectly okay. And the people who do not trust the government are more than willing to continue using physical currency. Now, I've heard countries like China consider maybe outlawing and going fully digital. That I do not support because I think it gives the government way too much control over the amount of money their citizens have. The government can secretly tax or manipulate how much money is in any account without as much accountability in the private sector. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that. Now, if they try to outlaw hard currency as a crime prevention measurement, oppose that to the very end. Yes, it is true that bags, suitcases full of cash are what often is used in the criminal underworld. But nowadays, even if you outlawed that, even if you outlawed physical currency, you wouldn't fix the problem because they'll just switch to Bitcoin, which is, it's the same whole point, right? So I would say a digital dollar, a digital euro, a digital whatever currency is only okay up to the point where the physical currency can still be used, purchased, and is accepted. That's how I would go with it. That's just my opinion, though. And by all means, for those of you who are much more radically against digital currency, you have the right to feel that way, and I understand the logic behind feeling that way, especially if you do not have much faith in your government. I can't say I fully trust the US government. As someone who, I work in the nuclear industry, I have to deal with regulatory agencies every day. When talking about government measures, a lot of the time I like the phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. The reason for this is because I am a nuclear engineer, and as such I have to deal with the worst regulatory burden of any industry in the world. The United States Nuclear Regulatory Commission and National Nuclear Security Agency, I'm not trying to badmouth them, but they're considered the gold standard of nuclear safety. And there's very good reason for that. The US nuclear record, especially in the civilian sector, is flawless. It's very, very good. But I think it goes a little bit too far. I think, right, you have a concept that is used in the Nuclear Regulatory Agency called ALARA, which is as low as reasonably achievable. It's a method of radiation measuring, right? What dose is reasonably achievable for radiation? And the trouble is here is you get what's called diminishing marginal returns. The safer you try to make something, the more expensive it will be to create that design. Nothing on Earth, nothing ever is 100% safe. It's the same reason I have problems with lockdowns, right? Yes, on one hand, you could, in theory, flatten the curve on coronavirus passage if you lock everything down. The problem is, you're going to incur a cost for doing that. That is, obviously, the cost to businesses that can no longer operate in person, the cost in social isolation, which is a mental health problem and may have caused more deaths ultimately than not locking down. You have the loss in physical health because people can't access gyms, which is something I was passionately opposed to. The fact that gyms stayed closed for longer in the pandemic is why I have a home gym and why I probably will never give it up. Yes, there's lots of stuff like that, and that can be applied to the nuclear regulatory agencies, right? It is important to have, what's called, it's called like digital safety records, right? The idea is, hang on one second. There we go, had to do it. As far as nuclear regulatory and nuclear safety regulations are concerned, let me get back into what I was saying here. That was something I had to do on another server there. The trouble is that, right, you have like what if scenarios. What if a fire breaks out due to an accident caused by an earthquake, right? And you have all these what if effects. The problem is, when you start stacking them on top of each other, the likelihood that such an event occurs is so minuscule that, frankly, there will be other problems. Like if an earthquake comes in at a level, enough to devastate some of the nuclear facilities where we're at. Now, obviously, in California, you got to worry about that. But like in South Carolina, we're not on a fault line here. We're not going to see a magnitude 8 earthquake, but we have to design to that standard, which is not really credible, and that's the trouble with ALARA. As low as reasonably achievable, the operative word there is reasonably. And the problem is, I don't think a lot of the time the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and NNSA has the same definition of reasonable as a lot of the nuclear engineers who know the industry well do. And as a result, costs get changed. Here's a great example. When Fukushima melted down in Japan, mind you, that was after the Tohoku earthquake, a magnitude 9 earthquake, and the only reason it melted down was because TEPCO ignored warnings about moving the diesel generators out from under the seawall. Right, so the diesel generators got flooded, and the
when they shut the reactor off, the reactor melted down because it couldn't cool itself. Ironically, if they kept the reactor running, the reactor would have been able to continue cooling itself because the reactor itself was not affected by the tsunami. It didn't get blown over, it didn't get flooded, nothing like that happened. It was just it punched out the emergency diesel generators. That was TEPCO's fuckery right there. Chernobyl is a failure of communism, not a failure of nuclear energy. The RBMK was a terrible design, operated by reactors not given full information about how it worked, and kept under wraps by a horribly secretive and horribly repressive Soviet government. Eric, you said nuclear in your country, sadly they outlawed the aftermath of Chernobyl after a referendum. I have a lot of problems with many European countries, particularly the Germans, about how they handle nuclear energy. I already went on my rant about that, so I'm not going to do it again, but you know what I'm talking about. I could do the same rant, the same song and dance about Chernobyl, but I think I'll pass on that unless you want to hear it. But yeah, a lot of the Southern European countries, which really they are at this point, if you're Southern European, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Greek, you should be going solar at this point. The solar potential in those countries is fantastic, and there's no reason not to. But if you live in Germany, Germany is not a sunny place. Germany is not a windy place. Germany does not have that many good rivers that can be dammed for hydrological reasons. If you dam the Danube, you're going to piss off a lot of countries downstream. Austria, Hungary, Serbia, Romania, Ukraine, Bulgaria, I believe too, right? So you can't do that. Germany has two real options. They have nuclear or they have coal. Well, three. Or they have importing Russian gas. That one's kind of going away with the war right now. The Germans have shoved their head right where the sun doesn't shine and chosen coal. But they're lecturing the rest of Europe on how to be more environmentally friendly. What the fuck? The Germans piss me off. Geothermal? There is no geothermal potential in Germany. The trouble with geothermal is that it really only works if you're sitting on an area with very easily accessible magma. This is why Iceland can use geothermal. This is why it might work in places like Wyoming and Idaho because of the supervolcano underneath Yellowstone. It doesn't really work in Germany. The Germans have just shoved their head up their ass, frankly. And I will hold the German Greens in particular, their feet to the fire on this because they're the biggest hypocrites in the world. Meanwhile, the French, okay, there are things I both love and hate about the French, but one thing I really like about the French is that they realized they wanted energy independence from the Arab countries after the 1973 oil embargo. So the French, instead, started drastically building up their nuclear industry, and as a result, the French have a carbon footprint. The average Frenchman has far lower carbon emissions than the average German because the French effectively decarbonized in the 1970s and 1980s to a much larger extent than any other European country did. The Swedes also did this, and I very much do not like giving the Swedes credit for anything because Sweden is... I've got some issues with some of their social policy, but the Swedes have, to a larger extent than most other countries, embraced nuclear energy, which I think was a very good idea. Hey, Abner, good to see you as always. Germans phased out nuclear only to use coal. Yes, they're insane, frankly. The Germans are... The way the Germans, really since Gerhard Schroeder, both Schroeder, Merkel, and whoever the fuck, I think it's Olaf something or other now who's running it, I do not have many nice things to say about the way Germany has been run over the last 20 to 30 years. I think they fucked up a lot. They also built 2 gas ducts from Russia. Exactly. Right. They've linked themselves to become economically dependent on Russian gas, and that was unbelievably stupid. Frankly, it was so obvious that that was a bad idea that even Donald Trump was calling it out in 2018. Donald Trump is not an intelligent man, and even he could figure that one out. He was damn right to say so. The Germans laughed it off, and now the Germans fucking... No, I have issues with the German government's approach towards nuclear. It pisses me off so bad. GV stopped growing because their industries struggle with energy prices of being competitive. Yeah, it's the price of energy, like the price of electricity in Germany is shocking. It is
That's a bad pun. I'm sorry about that. All right, I'm gonna go do my handstand push-ups now. I think I have the energy, speaking of electricity. The GDP realized browser crash just you started about talking about geothermal. Okay, so geothermal, I'll say this again, that's fine. Geothermal, hi, your audio is so shite, no offense. Is it quiet? Okay, so Monkey, I'm gonna go ahead and that's not really helpful. I don't, if you're saying my audio is shit, right? Can you tell me why? Is it too quiet? Is it peaking? Is it loud? Like, give me a little feedback first. Don't just tell me it's bad. I can't fix it if you just tell me it's bad. I don't know what to do to fix it if that's the case. The Germans thought if they made strong economic ties with Russia, then Russia would slowly become democratic. That was their diplomatic intention. No. Yeah, that was unbelievably foolhardy. That's blowing smoke up your ass if you believe that. Anyway, India's getting on board with thorium reactors. Yes, I like what India's push towards thorium is doing. So about geothermal, it works really, really well if you've got volcano, right, or you've got a magma source that's not very deep into the ground. This is true for a place like Iceland. This is also true for parts of the United States. I said this earlier, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, in and around the Yellowstone supercaldera. The trouble is, the vast majority of the world does not have that kind of geothermal potential to a point where it can be extracted at a cost-competitive rate with even solar or wind, let alone fossil fuels. Mr. Groot, thank you very much for the follow. It's echoey. How is it echoey? Okay. I don't... Yeah, my audio has been having all sorts of issues, and I'm not quite sure what I need to do. So is it... If it's echoey, maybe I need to add a filter? Let me try and adjust the filter. Hang on. Let's do that. See if that works at all. Hopefully that helps some. If it doesn't, let me know. Anyway, let's go ahead and do. I think the sound is bouncing off your walls and hardwood floors. I'm not really sure. I don't know what I can do about that. I guess I could try plugging in my Blue Yeti, but I don't know if that's gonna fix the problem. Let me try, you know what? I've got it. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll get my headphones back out and I'll try and listen to it on my own, and then I can maybe see if I fix the problem. Before I do that though, Mr. Groot, thank you very much for the first time chat. We're gonna go ahead and do handstand push-ups, okay? Just get some handstand push-up hype, y'all. Doing the best I can with audio, y'all. I don't know why. What I really need is like an audio engineer to come help unfuck this. I don't know what to do to fix the problem here. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. Maybe I'll get a rug or something. Maybe that'll help. I really don't know. Anyway, handstand push-ups. Let's do this. 3, 4. Oh. All right, let's get our protein. Don't get frustrated. People expect too much in a lot of ways. So you strap on a dedicated wireless mic. I could do that. I don't know if that would... Do y'all think that would be worth doing? The trouble is, where am I going to clip it? I just pinch... I guess I could pinch my skin. That's going to hurt, but... An engineer wouldn't have much true space. This is a house and not specifically engineered recording studio. The echo is not distorting the sound, so you're fine. Hall Randier, thank you for the first time chat, and thank you for telling me that. Do you guys think maybe like sound deadening panels would help? I could try and pin some of those up. A lavalier mic I know will work. Some of them clip them to headbands. Maybe that's not a bad idea. Wonder if that would work.
And now it doesn't echo since you're in a small room. Okay. Interesting. So what that tells me is I think the answer is really simple there. I just need to put up some sound deadening panels in the bigger room and I should be good. Someone with more audio experience would be better to ask. This is a sore spot for me just because I feel like no matter what I do, people still complain about it. I'm trying to get it to work. You need sound dampening? Well, I can do that. Yeah. You know what? Now that I'm listening for it, I can hear the echo in here. Where did I put my note? There it is. There's the lid. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our protein powder. Our creatine. Wonder what performers use for miking. Maybe that's the case. Maybe instead of sound deadening, I should just use a clip-on mic. That might solve the problem in the gym as well, honestly. Which might be a good way to do it. Trouble is, it's going to be another wireless thing I add to my laptop. I just need to get like maybe a second like battery charger, so that way I can charge my laptop while I'm out there. I don't have to worry about running out of battery. That could be the move. I'm not really sure. And we're almost out of this. Twitch is a lot of streamers that overspend on sound dampening and mics, so maybe the people expect the average quality to be that. I mean, right, so you guys notice, I don't know if you guys have noticed the lack of ads on this stream, but that's very much intentional. I run the minimum amount of ad breaks Twitch allows me to. The reason I do that, and why I'm saying bringing that up now, is because I'm not doing this for the money. So I absolutely can go and get like a clip-on mic or something like that. The trouble is I just don't know. What I want is I want performance. I don't care about the money or anything like that. But what I want is I want this to be the most enjoyable stream to watch that I can make it. So what I want to do is, there we go, get the rest of the protein powder out of this canister. And we're going to take the bag. We're going to fill this back up. Okay, this isn't working. That's all right. So that's really about 1 scoop. When you get the protein bag, we are out of this one. That's okay. What we're gonna do now, dump this bad boy into here. I actually prefer this better. This is the Costco brand. I just think it's better. I think it tastes a little bit better. It doesn't have that butyric acid, man, kind of taste. This is turning out to be a bit of a faff. This is not going well. I'm making a bit of a mess here. There we go. Now we're, easy. Don't go too fast. Alright, we'll do the rest of that later. More importantly, I've recovered the spoon, or the scoop I should say. How big is this scoop? I hate this, it never says, oh, okay, there we go, 70 cc, and this is 77 cc. So use this. So yeah, we've made a bit of a mess here, or I've made a bit of a mess here. I do apologize for that. I didn't really do this brilliantly, to be honest. I'm gonna have to sweep up. Kind of a fail on my part. We'll leave that for now. That's not a now problem. It's too OP. Maybe the funnel could help not spilling powder on the counter. Those types of streamers do it specific rooms to recording, which not everyone could do. So that's the thing. Like, I could do that. But the problem is it's my garage, and then it's my living room. I guess what I could do is move my desk into the office and go back to streaming in there, and make that my dedicated room, but that's supposed to be my roommate's. So if I did that, I would definitely have a really good, setup. I might talk to my roommate about that, because she's not really using that room to the extent she said she was going to, so maybe she'd be all right with that. I have to think that over. Anyway, get a peanut protein in. I'll clean this up later. I don't think y'all have any interest in watching me clean. That's probably not something y'all are interested in. It's too OP. That might be the move, honestly. All right. I haven't spilled that much of it, so it's not the end of the world. Shake it up, and I'm gonna add some ice because I like it a little bit colder. Linktree, Hall Reindeer, yes, welcome on in. If you guys want all the other links, all the other places that I'm at, you can type in !Linktree or !Socials. You see my response? I'm sorry, I'm trying my best to. Your stream, no comrade, our stream. Funny. I'm trying my best to keep up and also like do a million different things here. So. Oops. God damn it. Managing to spill at like every single stage and starting to piss myself off. Damn it. There we go. No worries, I made it. Yeah, I see that. Our stream. That's funny. Haha. There we go. Okay. Expectations rate. Let's see. Min-maxing. He's a state Oh, hold up. State-sponsored entitlement programs for fitness. Actually, okay. So as far as government programs are concerned, I legit would 100% be okay with paying more taxes if those taxes went to subsidizing gyms. Absolutely. Same thing with subsidizing like healthy produce and shit. 100% okay with that. Crazy Keith, welcome on in. Let me clean up a bit here. This is just, I'm sorry, it's bothering me. I'll do the rest of it later. We're gonna dry this. There we go. Good enough. Question: I'm 5'10", 265. I'm trying to lose weight besides diet and exercise. Would you recommend meal replacement type shakes? I'm trying to get down to 200 at least. So, okay. If you're looking to go from 265 to 200, let's talk about that for a second first. You are looking at losing, that's what? About 25% of your weight. That is a lot. It's gonna take time. It did not take you, 2 months to get from 200 to 265. So it's gonna take you a little bit of time to lose it as well. Here's what I would recommend. If you're looking to get down to 200, I would start maybe look for 22 to 2,300 calories a day. Oh, and start lifting if you haven't. Look for about a 500 to 1,000 calorie deficit a day, and you'll lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. Yes, that's slow, but as a result, it'll take you over, like if you're gonna go from 265 to 200, that's gonna take you a year if you do it right. But if you do it the slow way, it's gonna stay off and you're gonna be a whole lot less miserable doing it. So, as far as meal replacement type shakes are concerned, you gotta value your time. If you're making loads of money at your job and you don't like cooking and you're very busy otherwise, yeah, go for it. Otherwise, if you're like me, you're trying to keep your costs down, you're trying to moderate your spending as well, meal replacement shakes are seldom a good value. Usually they'll run, $5, $6, $7, $8 a pop, and if you're doing that, you're spending a shit ton of money to feed yourself. 2 pounds a week is the higher that doctors recommend. I don't really like a set number like that. I recommend, I would say it's 1% of body fat, right? Because if you're 350 pounds, you can lose more than 2 pounds a week and you'll be just fine. I would say 1% of your body weight is about the max you can go to. So, you know what, we can actually do the math on this. If you were to lose 1% of body fat per week, we can do the math on this. See, so if your goal is 200 pounds and you're currently at 265 pounds, that means you're looking to get to about 75.5% of your current weight. So what does that mean? Well, right, what you got to do is you've got to figure out, okay, how many times do I have to lose 1% of my current weight to get to that point, right? So we go ahead and just do a little trial and error. So that's 265 times 0.99 to the power, or rather, sorry, excuse me. You need to go 0.99, so that's 1% of your weight lost each week, multiplied to the power of 10. So if you went for 10 weeks, you'd be at 90% of your weight, which means you'd be down to about 240, 238, somewhere around there. So let's try again, 0.99, power of 20. That puts you at 81%, all right? 0.99, power of 25. 77%, 0.99 to the power of 30. 73%, so to the power of 27, we'll say? No, not quite. The power of 28. Okay, so, if you want to get to 200 from 265, you would need to lose 1% of your body weight for 28 weeks straight. So what I would say, that's what, 28 weeks is it's a little bit more than 6 months, 6.5 months. Back to the miking topic, I just search for a fitness instructor mic in your preferred search engine. I'm seeing wireless models that could work for your needs. So Hallrandir, I have something called Throne, okay? If you'd be so kind, right, I would love for someone to maybe recommend one on Throne instead of me just randomly going and trying. You know, I don't know shit about audio engineering, right? I don't know shit about what mics like make a streamer have a good stream. You guys, as the audience, probably know that a lot better than me. So if you want to help me out on this one, you can. The way you can do it is by telling me, hey, this is a really good mic. Recommend it on my Throne page, and I'll put it on there. And you know, if you guys don't want to, you know, help raise the money to buy it, that's fine. I can buy it myself too. But I don't know which one to buy. There's like hundreds of them out there, and I really don't know which is good and which is shit. I could also clip it to my mohawk, maybe. Let my mohawk grow out a little bit. Clip my mic to that. That might be funny. So Crazy Keith, where I'm going with this is, if you lost 1% of your body weight every week, and that's a lot, that's definitely not going to be easy, but it would take you about 28 weeks to get there. Realistically, you're not going to want to stay on a cut for 28 straight weeks. That's going to be, you know, close to a 6 or 7 month cut. Here's what I recommend, okay? I'm a big fan of when you go on a cut for 6 weeks, take 1 week at maintenance. Cut for 6 weeks, take 1 week at maintenance, and so on and so forth. If you do that, you should get there, factor of safety, you know, throw in an extra couple of weeks in. If you do that sort of 6-1 cycle, you could do that. If you did that for 5 cycles, you'd be at about 200 pounds if you did it properly. That would get you there in roughly 30 weeks. So that's, yeah, about 7 months. So if you were to start that now, you'd finish to be August, September, October, November, December, January, about early March, you could get to 200. So are you interested in, if you're interested in doing that, here's where I would start. Portion control is absolutely key. What I have found is key for me, though, is tracking my macros. What is tracking my macros? Well, the first thing you got to do is figure out how many calories are you stuffing your face with every day. For instance, I just had protein shake. I'm actually going to have to go, because I put in a new protein powder. I'm going to have to figure out what I actually put in here. So I have to go back into the kitchen and do that. I'll do that in a little while. Don't need to do that right fucking now. All right, I'll let the ice melt. That should help. So if you're looking to get to 200 pounds and you're at 265, I'd reckon between 2,000 and 2,200 calories is probably where you want to start. If you lift, I'd say go for maybe 170 to 175-ish grams of protein. Fat and carbs can vary. If you like more fat, great, have fewer carbs. If you like more carbs, great, have a little fat or have less fat. As long as you have a little of both, you'll be okay. America has a portion distortion problem. Yes, America, we have massive sizes here, and that's just part of how things go. I certainly fall victim to this just as much as anything else. Psychology is huge in eating. I mean, right. It is a thermodynamic law that if you put less calories into your body than you're burning, you will lose weight. However, right, monitoring how many calories you're putting in, that's the tricky part. We are notoriously humans. We are notoriously bad at reporting what we eat. So you have to try and measure it out at first. It's a pain in the ass, but as you get going, do a couple weeks towards it, it gets a lot easier once you develop the habit, right? So here, I have all my notebook stuff in there, for instance. You know what I'm gonna do is, stand by, I'm gonna check. This will actually be a pretty good example. So I'm gonna bring my protein powder over here, and I'm gonna actually document how I do this, okay? So we put in 1 scoop of this guy and 1 scoop of this guy. So, a scoop of this is 160 calories, 2.5 grams of fat, 25 grams of protein, and 10 grams of carbs. So that's 160, and a scoop of this is 120, so that's 280. And then you factor in the peanut protein I threw in, which is another 140 calories. So this is 420 calories total, okay? And then this is 25 grams of protein. This one is 24, that's 49. And then the peanut protein is 8 per serving. We did a double serving of that, so that's 65 grams of protein. This one is total fat is 2.5. Total fat is 2, so that's 4.5, and I believe 2 servings of the peanut protein is 4, so that'd be 8.5. We'll round up to 9. And then carbs, this is 10. This is 3, so that's 13. The peanut protein is, I think I want to say 10 as well, so it's 23, I think. All right, so that gives us 420 calories, 65 grams of protein, 9 grams of fat, and 23 grams of carbs. Mix that in with the pint of skim milk I had earlier and a little bit of leftover curry I had for breakfast, and we are at, 420, 620, 710, 890 calories for today. We are at 39, 99, 104 grams of protein, so we're doing really rather well there. We're at 14 grams of fat, and we are at 26, 52, 75 grams of carbs. So we're doing pretty well so far today. Pink Gay Fairy, that is a name right there. Did you play soccer growing up? Welcome to the first time chat. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the bullpen. My name is BullMuscle. We are talking finances, fitness, and everything else right now. Let's go ahead and put those down here. So, psychology part as well. Obesity is much of a psychology issue as is a nutrition one. Yes, there are many root causes of obesity. That is one of them. Psychology and the fact that it is right now far more profitable to market junk food because junk food is cheaper to produce to the consuming public than it is to market fresh produce. I am a big fan of junk food taxes for this reason, especially if I am asked to take on a greater tax burden for a more universal healthcare system, which I'm not opposed to. That's got to happen in correlation with junk food taxes. If you make junk food more expensive, people will buy less of it. This is a good thing. This will lower the total healthcare burden on the system. And before you say, oh, that's oppression to the working class, nobody is getting oppressed because Little Debbie's now cost $3 instead of $2, okay? The world will move on. Here's another thing I would consider doing. Obesogenic environments exist almost everywhere in the United States. What do I mean by that? Well, obesogenic environments are environments in which it is very easy to remain sedentary. The average American takes 2,000 less steps per day than the average Frenchman, German, or Spaniard. Takes 4,000 less steps a day than the average Dutchman, and takes 6,000 less steps per day than the average Japanese person. It's no coincidence that the Japanese, between their very good diet and their very high exercise in terms of what's called the gym of life, right? You walk to the train station, you ride the train into the city, or you ride a bike somewhere. That burns calories in a way sitting in a car doesn't. As a result, between that and their better diet, the Japanese have an average lifespan about 10 years longer than the average American does. Warning labels on high-calorie foods. I'm very much okay with this too. The country of Mexico does this, and I think it's quite a good idea. If you go and buy one of those bigger bags of like, there's like Sabritos, or there's this chili con carne flavored or chorizo flavored Mexican Fritos. These things are friggin' baller that you can get at little tiendas and Hispanic grocery stores around here. It has this little black octagon on it that says exceso grasa, excess fat, exceso sodio, excess salt, exceso calorias, excess calories. That's a great idea. There's no reason we can't do that here. Bad diets make people dumber. I'm not sure I'd go that far. Well, yes and no. I mean, dumber is maybe not the right word, but there is a link between high sugar consumption and increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, in particular drinking soda. The fact that soda is not taxed heavily in this country, the same way that alcohol and cigarettes are taxed in this country, blows my mind. Frankly, this is what bothers me. Like, in one of the most supposedly progressive, supposedly fitness-conscious cities in the country, New York City, Mayor Bloomberg a couple years ago tried to ban the biggest sizes of soda. I think the problem here was that he attempted a ban. Don't ban shit, just tax it. Banning shit doesn't work. Prohibition is proof of that. If you ban something, we Americans have something in our DNA. The second you ban something, we all just want to do that thing. I'm convinced this is a big part of the reason people like smoking pot. Don't get me wrong, weed can be a lot of fun, but I think there is an element of we're doing this just because the government says no, fuck y'all, you know? It's that sort of don't tread on me mindset that I frankly adore about this country. But instead of banning shit, put taxes on it, because at least then those taxes can go to offset some of the healthcare costs caused by excess consumption of that good. For instance, alcohol taxes are often used, especially in European countries, are often used to subsidize healthcare system, which people who are alcoholics tend to draw on more. Same thing with tobacco, right? If you're an excess tobacco user, you are far more likely to get cancer, emphysema, and a load of other diseases. Those diseases cost a lot of money for society to help treat. So you should have to pay more if you want to continue to smoke. You should have to pay in to the system. So that's how I feel about it. Cardboard orange juice, any juices really in particular. Juices in general are not a good thing to put in your body. Juice is not much better than soda. I recommend eating fruit, because the difference between fruit and juice is that the fruit has the fiber necessary for the sugar to process a little bit slower, which means you'll have a lot less sugar. Do I speak Spanish? I'm trying to learn it. I'm not doing great, but I'm doing okay. So yeah, do you speak Spanish? No, I don't. Yo hablo un poco de español. Yo aprendo español. I'm working on it. I'm getting better. Crazy Keith, absolutely. If you want more details and if you really want some motivation to kick some ass on this, please come join my Discord. There is a ton of good information in the pinned messages there. Promise you, it'll be worth your time. Liquid diabetes, yeah, pretty much. So Pink Gay Fairy asks, why is the South the most obese region? Love that question. I am a proud Southerner. I love the South. I am a proud patriotic American, but the best region of the United States is the South. Come fucking fight me. I live in the great state of South Carolina. I used to live in the great state of Texas. The reason the South has extremely high obesity rates relative to the rest of the United States is quite simple. The first reason is that Southern cooking relies on lots of fat, sugar, and salt. The reason for this is that the South, until really well into the 20th century, was predominantly agricultural. Even, you can say, a lot of that came down to the fact that agriculture, until only a few decades ago, was heavily intensive manual labor. So all of that food, all of that fat, salt, and sugar was necessary to keep yourself going through 8 hours of farm work every single day. As a result, the Southern diet, that sort of Southern home style cooking, is quite unhealthy in terms of, right, unless you're burning all of that off, you're going to get very fat if you eat that every single day. Talking things like fried okra, grits with lots of cream in it, biscuits and gravy. These are great things if you're a farm laborer and you need that energy, but most people nowadays don't do that. The second part is the South is extremely car dependent. Because the South's population really only started getting larger when air conditioning became much more readily available in the 1940s, 1950s, and onward, this also coincided with the rise of the American automobile love. As a result, cities in the United States and the South in particular are very, very difficult to walk around, and in some instances, impossible. Houston. As a result, right, everybody drives. And when everybody drives, people don't take nearly as many steps per day as they would if they were walking to work, or walking to the grocery store, or walking to their friend's house, or walking to the bar, or anything like that. In New York City, or in Chicago, or in Cleveland, or in any of those cities, or Philadelphia, you can walk around. You don't necessarily need a car to get around. But because of that, you're necessarily going to be doing a lot more walking, a lot more biking, and as a result, you're going to be burning more calories every single day. This is a good thing. In the South, because we've decided to build everything exclusively around the car, we're just less active. So it's a combination of historical diets mixing with really bad transportation and infrastructure policy. The third and most insidious part of this, unfortunately, is a little bit of the legacy of racism here in the South. Now, I'm not one of these people who likes to focus everything on race and yada yada blah blah blah, right? But if you were born black in the South, and this still exists at a much reduced level to this day, but even before then, right, if you were born black in the South, really anywhere before the late 1960s, you were probably given access to a very inferior education because of the segregation system. The schools offered to black people in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s just weren't very good. It was quote unquote separate but equal, but we all know it wasn't equal. As a result, education for things like good diet and exercise, good nutrition, taking care of yourself wasn't as good. And it still isn't as good in a lot of inner city schools that unfortunately are also primarily black. So that's also part of it. The black population in the South is also a lot higher. As a result, you've got a class of people that have been historically discriminated against, and that are, as a result of that, right, they haven't gotten the same level of education about how to take care of yourself healthcare wise that a lot of other people have, a lot of other white people have in the South. This is why obesity rates in the South, in particular in heavily black areas, tends to be higher. As a good example, one of the fattest regions in the country is also one of the poorest. This is the Delta in Mississippi. The Delta region is the land between the Yazoo, roughly, and Mississippi rivers in northwestern Mississippi. It is one of the poorest areas in the country. It's actually where some of the best music in the country comes from. The Delta Blues, if you've never heard of it, is terrific, and it's really what inspired rock and roll. So if you like rock music, go listen to Delta Blues. Hell, take Led Zeppelin. You can name any number of Led Zeppelin tunes that really were just Delta blues covers reworked, for instance. But there's a legacy of racism and poverty there that still needs to be addressed. A lot of those towns are also food deserts. Now, I live in a food desert, and I will tell you, it takes discipline, but you can still live healthily here. Unfortunately, you need the education to figure out what is good for you and what isn't, and unfortunately, a lot of people down here haven't gotten that. Why is the South so behind, though, on social issues? This is my problem with them. So, okay. Right. I'm a moderate. I am not one of these people who wants to view everything through the lens of race. However, I am uniquely aware. I live in a small southern town that we're not exclusively white here. I think we're 25, 30% black, which is above average if you look at the average demographics of the United States. But in general, this is a rural southern town. I still see Confederate flags flying everywhere. It's not something I support, but it is a reality of living here. So just because I'm not what most people would consider woke, doesn't mean I'm not unaware of what the legacy of racism here in the South means. However, to state that the South is entirely backward and more backward than other areas of the country, I think is untrue. Here's why. Some of the most segregated cities in the United States, you're ready for this, is my smug southerner face: Milwaukee, Chicago, Omaha, Detroit, Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. What's in common with all of those? That's right, they're all damn Yankee states. Why did that happen? Well, in the 1930s and 40s, a lot of blacks in the Great Depression era moved up to work industrial jobs, especially during World War II. And guess what? Y'all damn Yankees discriminated against them just as badly as we did here in the South. Yeah, but seriously, continue riding that high horse, Northerners. Tell us what our problems are. It smacks of this Neil Young Southern man type stuff that I can't stand, as if the North didn't have the same racial issues we did. Yes, the South we have the burden of dealing with the legacy of slavery and the legacy of Jim Crow. That is absolutely a sin that we in the South still have to rectify and work around. But let's not go acting like the North was all perfect and pure and clean and great about this, because y'all fucking weren't. So before you go into saying, oh, the South is so fucking backwards, one, we've made a ton of progress since the 60s here. Yes, the racial issues of the past still are a big problem, but they have gotten a lot better in the last 50 years. Anyone, and you can ask the black people in this town, honestly, will say the same. The Ku Klux Klan existed in this town well into the 80s. It doesn't exist anymore, and the idea that it would is unconscionable to even the most conservative of people here. Hey, Pyroflexin, thank you very much for the follow. Sorry about this rant, but this bothers me because, right, just because we have a unique history and not always a good one, doesn't mean we're backwards or inferior. It just means we have a different legacy to work through, right? You're from the South too, well, Florida. What part of Florida? Miami isn't really the South anymore. Pyroflexin, it's good to see you. Thank you for the first time chat, and thank you for the follow. But yeah, redlining, great example there, Mike. And redlining happened in California as well. Oh, Californians love to be on their high horse. Californians in particular, y'all love to act like you're better than the South, right? Go look at some of the racial policies in places like Los Angeles and get back to me on that one, buddy. I know you don't feel that way, Mike, but you know the type of Californian I'm talking about here. First Confederate flag I ever saw was in Vermont. Jesus Christ, Vermont? I'm sorry, what? Look, it's stupid enough to fly the Confederate flag in a place like South Carolina, but at least I understand why it's done here. What the fuck are you doing flying that in New England? Piety needs to fucking die. Yeah, exactly. Right, every part of the United States has its problems, is what I'm going with. And we in the South have them too, but we in the South have a lot of good things going for us. We in the South also have lower income inequality rates than much of the North. We in the South have way lower costs of living. For instance, there we go. Why I'm able to do this is because I can live very comfortably off of a lot less money than if I lived in a place like New York City. For instance, in the South, we have good climate for growing. So if you live in a food desert here in South Carolina,
It's not all that hard to grow your own crops out of your own garden. If you really wanted to, there are seed banks around here, and even if you had to buy your seeds, they're extremely cheap. You can raise your own tomatoes, okra, peppers, onions. It's South Carolina. Fucking everything grows here. So that works really well for you on top of that. Muscle Mac, how are you doing? Workout's going pretty well. It's not. We had a good one. It's not right now. We finished already, but it went pretty well. I'd say it went pretty good right there. That blows my mind. The idea that one would. I've never understood that. The people who fly. The ones that's most offensive are people in Ohio and Pennsylvania, the two states that generated the most Union soldiers out of any of them, flying Confederate flags. That is some historical fucking ignorance right there. Or West Virginia, the state that literally seceded from the Confederacy to become a thing, flying the Confederate flags. That shit's dumb. That's really dumb. But yeah, again, the United States isn't a perfect place. Goddamn, I love this country. I would, if called upon, I would go and serve. If we were ever to return to a draft, and actually, this is another hot take of mine, I support the draft. I think we should bring it back, and I know that scares a lot of people, but I'm a huge fan of draft-based military because that will ensure that the United States does not get into foreign quagmires and imbroglios, and if we do, we will be a whole lot more liable to protest. There's a reason we protested Vietnam a whole lot more than we protested Iraq, even though you can argue Iraq was on even flimsier causes to go into, just as an example. Anyway, I'm gonna get a little bit of water, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about finance. We're gonna talk a little bit more about financial independence. We'll do a little Q&A, and we'll go for. This is insightful, but how has the South overcome the biases against them? Even though it improve their social issues, seem off. States passing LGBT and educational restrictions are Southern, for example, Florida. Okay, let me get some water, and I'll go for that. Gracious Joey, why I'm happy it's not your call. Why am I proud to be in a, why do I support the draft? I'll get into that. Let me. Okay. So here's why I support bringing back the draft. I grew up in a military family. My father served in the United States Air Force for almost 30 years. What I saw in the military, and this was through the prime years of Iraq and then Afghanistan, was it's the same families that have to go over, that choose to serve, and it becomes almost a family role to go and become in parts of the military. I've seen this where the kids are shipped off to military schools, they are expected to commission immediately, and they're the ones that often die overseas. And as a result, the portion of Americans that have a relationship to someone who has served in the military is a lot lower now than it was in the 1960s and 1970s. What this means is when we send people over to a foreign war that we shouldn't be in, Iraq, the U.S. public is much more equipped to ignore the issue now than they were in the 60s or the 70s. So I want the draft back because it would act as a bulwark. It would force Congress to be a whole lot more judicious about where it sends its Americans. What did Obama do for people of color? Absolutely, that's a great question. No. I will say Obama, right, you can say, yeah, he's the first black president, but at the same time, yeah, Obama could have chosen to legalize pot. Frankly, Trump or Biden could have also done that. I think, this is my hot take too, if Trump had legalized weed in 2020, he would have won in a landslide. That would have been it. Because it's not like the anti-pot religious conservatives were going to start voting for Biden. Come on, that wasn't going to happen. But if he had done that, I think he would have gotten enough of the vote to win in 2020. That's a hot take right there. GGR TV, good to see you. Some countries do that you have to join the army, it's mandatory. The other thing is too, joining the military does teach a lot of kids skills that they're not getting taught anymore. It teaches you how to be fucking tough. Yeah, you're gonna get beat up a little bit in basic. You're going to learn how to be physically trained at least enough to survive in bad circumstances. I think there's a lot of positives to things like universal conscription. You're going to learn how to work a firearm. I think that's a really good skill, and frankly, especially with the prevalence of guns in this country, we all should be trained to use them in the event that we need to use them. You can say there shouldn't be as many guns in this country, but come on, that's not a realistic thing to assume. Like, we're never going to see an Australia-style gun buyback and destruction program here. It's just not going to happen. So the best we can hope for is that the people in this country understand how to use firearms properly. So draft also also fixes that. I think there's a lot of benefit. You can be mad at two things at once. This is true. Yep, you can absolutely say that. We can stop talking, it's fine, but you were good to talk to. As far as, so the anti-LGBT stuff, I actually am bi, but I just don't really talk about it on stream because it's how I was raised. I was raised in the don't ask, don't tell era, and frankly, I'm 100% fine with making that my personal life policy. It's easier, especially around here in a very conservative religious area. I mean, I think my town voted something like 92% for Trump. What are you going to do? As far as what's happening in Florida, that's been a really interesting development. I don't think Florida is as socially as conservative as DeSantis is trying to push it. And I think what DeSantis is doing is sacrificing state government policy in an ostensibly purple state. Yeah, Florida's gotten redder, but Florida isn't exactly Mississippi here. I think there will be backlash to what DeSantis has done in Florida. I think DeSantis is doing that to try and make a 2024 presidential run that I don't think he's got a shot in. DeSantis has what I would call a likability issue. Conservatives don't seem to like him for whatever reason, so they're not going to abandon Donald Trump. And moderates, he's pissed off all the moderates with some of the truly boneheaded legislation he's tried to get passed in Florida. Look, you can hate or love Disney, and frankly, I don't like Disney at all. I think Disney is a pretty evil company in a lot of ways, especially with how it is infantilized much of my generation. The fact that there are people called Disney adults is disgusting, but if you're going to pick a fight with one of the biggest job creators and job providers in Florida as the governor of Florida, and you're going to call yourself a free market conservative, something isn't adding up there. It makes you seem like a massive idiot, frankly, and that's what I would. I thought DeSantis did all right through the pandemic, but what he's done in the last year or two has been monumentally stupid. You gotta acknowledge that Florida's a diverse state with lots of people, and it's just not that conservative. You're not going to get a huge benefit from doing that. I would call it politically inept, even before saying, oh, it's just throwing red meat to the base. It doesn't make sense. Pink Gay Fairy, thank you for the follow. I do appreciate that. You think Trump will get off and win the White House? I don't think Trump will win if he runs again. I hope he doesn't. Or better still, I hope the Republicans. GGR, you gotta bounce. Ward wanted to check in, see what I missed. Thank you for showing up, GGR. It's always good to see you, man. I appreciate you coming by. Thank you. We're planning on owning a gun, but taking gun safety courses and learn to fire a handgun just so I know how to handle one safety. Hall Randier, I love that attitude. If you don't want to own a gun, that's fine. But one of the realities of living in the United States, where there are literally more guns than people, is that you're going to be around them at some point in your life. And it's probably better to know what you're doing around them than to not know what you're doing around them. Do I think Trump will get off from these, from the Department of Justice and all these claims? Unfortunately, yeah. I think he's going to find a way to weasel out of it. I also think a lot of the claims against Trump are flimsy at best. I think some have more teeth to them than others, is what I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to go into the specifics there, but do I think Trump will win the White House? No. I think Trump has a very high floor for a candidate and a very low ceiling for a candidate. He's a very polarizing figure. You either love him or you hate him. There's not much in between. I personally don't think he was a particularly good president. I don't think he was literally Hitler like people say he is. But I think his policy, especially with regards to browbeating the Fed into keeping rates low, cutting taxes on the rich when the economy was already humming as a stimulatory measure, and a lot of the COVID spending in 2020 was very reckless. I don't think it was a good idea. So in general, I certainly don't think I would vote for him. I'm not particularly happy with Biden either, although I will say one of the things I will give a lot of credit to Biden towards is that he has kept his mouth shut regarding the Federal Reserve. A lot of senators, both on the right and on the left, are criticizing Jerome Powell for doing his job. I think Jerome Powell has actually done a pretty good job, all things considered, with changing the rates. Yeah, rate hikes were necessary. He was a little bit late on the uptick, but then again, that was assuming the Ukraine war wasn't going to happen. How is Powell going to have that information? So I think Powell made as good an adjustment as he could have given the information that he had. And as such, take a look at the rates of inflation with us versus the rest of the G7. They're lower here in the United States. So I actually will give Powell a lot of credit for doing his job well the last few months and sticking to the course of trying to keep inflation tame. And I'll also give Biden credit for not browbeating him like Trump did. So that's it. There you go. There you want a spicy take. I actually think Jerome Powell has done a decent job. His presidency was the closest thing to a progressive period since FDR. That's not a bad way to say it. I mean, I just wish Biden's... I don't like the amount of deficit spending we're doing. I think the amount of deficit spending has drastically contributed to inflation, and if you're going to spend more, you need to tax more. And I get that that's a whole lot less popular, and there are some political and rational impediments to doing that, but you can't just go with reckless deficit spending forever. Having your exam review and had you on my second monitor. Welcome in, Trigger Bell. Always good to see you. There you go. No, I meant Trump. Oh, you're talking about... I mean, I would say Biden has been more progressive than Trump. I would certainly say Trump pissed a lot of money away. He was very good at doing that. There were some things I thought Trump actually did rather well on, though. Calling Germany out, in particular, on their bullshit with addicting themselves to the Russian oil and gas interests was the right thing to do. And frankly, the United States should absolutely get its liquid natural gas pipelines and terminals up and running, because we can then export that to Europe to get them off of Russian gas. This is good policy, and it keeps Europe within the American sphere of influence. Oh, you're talking unemployment and Medicaid expansion. Do you think the Supreme Court will overturn gay marriage? Absolutely not. No. Gay marriage is here to stay. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to do that. There's no right. First off, even if the Supreme Court overturned gay marriage, what would happen is that, right at this point, with the exception of a very few couple of heavily Baptist southern states, gay marriage is more than 50% popular pretty much everywhere in this country. There's no real reason to do that if you're in the Supreme Court. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to do that. I don't think there's a lot of legal benefit. I don't think there's a lot of legal ground to overturn it, frankly. So, good question. I don't think it's going to happen. I also will go ahead and mention, by the way, you notice that in my critiques or appraisings of presidents, I'm talking mostly about economic policy. I don't care that much about social issues. This is kind of part of what I do. I have no strong opinion on abortion one way or the other, for instance. It's not an issue that affects me, and I can't be bothered to have an opinion. I've been given pretty good arguments on both the pro-life and pro-choice sides. I understand those arguments, and I just don't have an opinion. Sometimes it's okay to not have an opinion on something. That's an important thing to say. 30 million Americans are losing access to Medicaid this year. Interesting. Respect to Marriage Act have to be overturned. Yeah, I would say there's no practical reason for the United States or the Supreme Court to overturn gay marriage. And even if it was, even in a state like Florida, Mr. Ferry, I don't think you'd have to worry about it. Even if, God forbid, gay marriage was overturned at the federal level, I think Florida would be one of those states that probably makes it legal. And here's why. Yes, Florida does have its more socially conservative side, but even the more typically socially conservative Cubanos down in Miami, right, that are much more, they're not really conservative, they're just anti-communist. They really care about Cuba. But a lot of those are nominally Republican voters, but that also are usually a lot more pro-gay marriage. So if you're a Florida resident, I don't think you have a lot to worry about there. I really don't. I think you'll be fine either way. The Supreme Court needs oversight. The question is from who? I don't trust Congress to oversee it, because Congress is just as fucked up, if not more. I will say, especially after what's come out with Judges Alito and Thomas, and some of the dealings they've had with a lot of billionaires, yeah, that's fishy as hell. I would say maybe the Supreme Court could use term limits. Maybe that's the way to do it. I'm not really sure what the answer is, but there's clearly something wrong that needs to be fixed there. I would agree with that. You have to declare, yeah. Would have to declare the Respective Marriage Act unconstitutional, which would be a huge stretch even for the conservative court. Yeah, Jar, I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree with that. So let's go ahead and, while we're here, I'm going to check the markets one more time. We're going to go from there. We're going to go to, how's the markets going right now? S&P's starting to rise up a little bit. It's turning into a very green day. It's up 1%. NASDAQ's up almost 2%. That is very good. We're getting very close to the S&P hitting another all-time high, which leads again to my thesis that I think Jerome Powell, for all the criticism he has received, is actually doing a really good job running Federal Reserve policy. I think 5 to 5.5%, hopefully. If I were the Federal Reserve, I would probably be very cautious about raising rates, maybe go 0.25% at a time and space it out to let, right, so what happens with reserve interest rate policy is that economic data lags interest rate policy. The trouble is, depending on what historical time period you're looking at, that delay can be 2 months, that delay can be 12 months. We don't really know. So the question is, right, how much more do you want to raise interest rates before seeing the compounding effect of that lag data? And that is a tough question. This is why, like, again, the Federal Reserve is staffed with some really smart people that are trying to figure that out. Some chief economists that they've been studying 20, 30, 35 years in this field. It's a fantastic question, and maybe this shows my inner nerd, but I love economics. I think economics is interesting. I think how the markets work, how interest rates work, how international trade works. These all I think it's very interesting as a field that I study. I mean, for God's sake, I'm literally reading The Wealth of Nations in my spare time. What are you gonna do, right? Like, I want to try and finish that on the plane, actually, going up to Boston. It's important. I think reading's that's another thing I wish we'd do more in the United States. Reading is so underrated, and it's such a great way to get off of your phone. Like, what I'm trying to set myself up to do, and I fail at this. I 100% fail at this. Some nights I just want to veg and watch old reruns of Top Gear because it's fucking hilarious. Jeremy Clarkson is incredibly problematic, but God above is he funny. But like, you know, some nights I really try to settle down, get off of the screens and read, and what I find is if I do that, I sleep a lot better too. So that's a pretty good tip. If, like me, your biggest demon in the fitness and diet exercise is sleep. And this is why we're talking about finance, we talk about economics, talk about reading, talk about sleep, talk about diet, talk about fitness. It all interconnects because you want to kind of, my goal is to sort of become this Renaissance man where I can do and say and read and understand many different things and many different topics, because when you do that, you find serendipities and you find ways that seemingly disparate topics interact with each other to give you a better perspective and allow you to do better things. This is the fun part. Do you recommend off-screen hours before sleep? I'm bad at it. Me too. One thing I have found that works is put your phone charger away from your bedroom and then make your bedroom really dark. Like, do not have anything in there. If you can avoid it, even an alarm clock, don't have that. This watch I use as my alarm clock, and the alarm's loud enough to where I can hear it. This is a better alarm clock, and again, you know, at night, right, this is not going to display a light. Like, you can see it's got a backlight, so if I needed it on in there, I could have it on, but it's not going to wake me up mid-sleep, unless it's the alarm going off, obviously. Looking at doing a WGU econ degree. What's WGU? Never heard of that. Honestly, this is another thing I'll say. Something like this, a basic dumb watch, really nice to have. I think I'm not quite as big a fan of the smartwatches. A lot of the Garmin's and Suuntos have really cool exercise metrics and data, but at the same time, they're disposable equipment in the same way that phones are. They last a few years and they get really slow and laggy. Whereas a G-Shock like this will last 10 years and you can beat the crap out of it and it'll work just as good as it did the day it came out of the factory. Western Governors University, I've never heard of that. That's interesting. I don't know how well they're rated or accredited, but hey, more power to you. I require white noise to sleep. Interesting. Another thing I like recommending, by the way, is so you guys have seen, you know, I write my workouts in here, write what I eat in here, but I also sometimes write journal entries of different days. Be like, today I did X and Y, I felt X and Y, I want to do X and Y, stuff like that. And when I do that, I find that I have a lot easier of a time falling asleep, and I remember the days a little bit better. It makes them stand out a little bit more, and it kind of helps make the days not blend in as much, right? To quote the Pink Floyd song Time, this is such a profound lyric, I think. And then one day you'll find 10 days have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You've missed the starting gun. I think when you have days that are very similar to each other, and we all do, right? Get up, go to work, exercise, come back, make food, eat dinner, some sort of activity later at night, go to bed, repeat for several days a week for years and years and years. Those days blend together. Our brains have a way of doing that. It's a mindfulness technique, really. Writing down what you did and your thoughts and all that sort of stuff. So keep a journal, I think, is a really good idea. Heard Bull is a strong breather as he sleeps. So when I sleep, the way I sleep, I don't snore. At least people tell me I don't snore, but what I do is that all night, apparently. It's just deep breaths through my nose. Bull, yeah, so I guess maybe I sleep like a bull. I don't know. My roommate would tell y'all that I definitely, so my throat, excuse me, I definitely fart like a bull. Bull dreams of breath work. Well, at least I'm not dreaming of breath play. Well, anyway, I'm sore. I'm gonna do a little bit of stretching. Usually, I think I'm gonna start reserving the splits for we at 50 in chat. I see we got 40 right now. Won't suffocate my face with a pillow? I snore? No, I just kick you out of bed. Real simple. Sleep is my biggest health demon right now. I have the most trouble getting enough and getting high enough quality. So if you're interrupting my sleep by snoring, I'm kicking you the fuck out. Get out. Sorry. If you don't like it, that's your problem. Liminal, Dan, you're still streaming? Yeah, we're just shooting the shit. I kind of go until, well, we're probably going to wrap up pretty soon, but I usually go until we finish talking about finances, finish talking about whatever the chat wants to talk about. It's kind of the nice part about the Q&As. It's open-ended. We can go as far as we feel like. It is getting fairly, gosh, it is already past noon. I reckon it's probably about time for me to raid someone, though. You're probably right. Do we have anything else? I don't think so. Hang on. Need to write something down. There we go. That's a good question, though. Let's see who's rating, or who's on right now. Ooh, someone gave me a gift suggestion. Fantastic. I'm hoping that's the microphone. That'd be really cool. The clip-on microphone's gonna be a challenge for me because I am shirtless much of the time. I bet I could probably put it on my shorts and that'd be all right. Trouble is then, like, right, if I'm putting it on my shorts and I'm squatting, ooh, that can be a problem. Or I'm deadlifting, right? Doing the bar up here, or I'm like doing, shrugs with a barbell, might knock it off. I have to think about how I do that. Decisions, but that's not a now problem. That's a little bit of a later problem. A headset mic, dude. I'm not wearing not gonna wear a headset while I'm like doing squats and shit. It's gonna fall off. It's a microphone, cheap Asian brand, but plenty of ratings. Connected to my chest hair. I definitely do not have enough chest hair to do that. Headband like Cool Runnings. I've thought about doing that. That's not a bad idea. Tape it to my chest. But even then, right? Let's say I'm doing bench press. I could crush it. I don't want to do that. You can clip it to your nip. God damn it, guys. You have sharp teeth. I chipped this tooth when I was a kid, right up in here. That one, I chipped it, and I have there is a replacement that's on there, but it's worn down over the years. I need to replace it, but it's just not that high of a priorities list. It's fine as it is. Get a headset. If you want to suggest different ones for me to look at, there you go. Go put it on my throne and I'll review them. But grinding them in my sleep from smoking, yikes. That's not good. Yeah, smoking's bad for you for sure. Tape it to your face. Problem is I'll sweat a lot and the tape will fall off. It's not as easy as a problem as you think it is. I could tape it to my mustache, but that would really hurt. Okay, so who we got? We got Limitless, we got Supernatural, we got Stars and Bars, we got Limitless. Shit, Limitless is pulling in mad views. Holy shit. But we rated her last week. I think I might do Supernatural. We have not, although she's co-working, so she's doing just chatting. What do y'all think? Limitless or Supernatural? I think I'm gonna flip a coin. That's gonna be the move. Let's flip a coin. That's how you wax it off for the follower goal. God damn it. Dude, okay, so Liminal, you mentioned that, but like I do not have a lot of votes on the follower goals within my Discord, so I don't know what my audience wants me to do as a follower goal. So if you guys are interested in that, go vote in that, seriously. You guys, there's no excuse. I mean, we've had that poll up for weeks and nobody voted on it, so it's like, come on. If you really want to see, and help influence changing this channel or improving it, the Discord's the place to be. I really like doing that. All right, so we're gonna do heads for Limitless, tails for Supernatural. So we're gonna do flip. It's heads. We're gonna go for Limitless. The most handsome? Nah. They're both girls, so that doesn't really work. I feel like handsome is like, can you be a handsome girl? I feel like handsome is a trait, like, you never say beautiful guy, you'll say handsome guy, or you say beautiful girl. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that if you're female, handsome is never something that's applied to you. Like, you can say that's a handsome woman, but like, who the fuck says that? Helvetica Queen, welcome on in. Thanks for the first time chat. Make sure to vote on the ones I liked when I heard about them. Thank you very much for that, Ben, good boy. I appreciate that. We need more people voting. So, again, I have 1,600 plus followers at this point. Like, the most votes we've gotten on anything is like 15, so it's not even 1%. A tomboy, maybe. I guess, like, a really butch chick might be handsome. But, like, that's sort of the point. Handsome, to me, like when I hear handsome, I think of like the term, like when I think of handsome, I think defining handsome is like having attractive masculine features. You know what I mean? Or like pretty. Pretty's the opposite. Like when I think of pretty, if you say someone's pretty, like I'm assuming feminine, just naturally. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's just me. So I know some handsome gals and pretty boys. That's fair. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is a beautiful guy. Huh. Well, okay. Now I take that back. Maybe not then. Anyway, let's go ahead and rate. We've got. Let's see. Make sure Limitless isn't just about to raid someone else. There we go. All right. So first off, I want to say thank you to our new followers today. That's Lone Traveler, Mouse Eat Cookie, MRG, Pyroflexin, and Pink Gay Fairy. Thank you very much for the follows. I do appreciate that. That's really the goal of this channel, is to build a great community where we can help people who want to get in shape, learn how to, become financially independent, or, encourage you to improve in some other way. That's the whole point of this channel. That's what makes me want to continue streaming. It's why I'm here. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and raid. Limitless Fitness. So we're gonna go to raid Limitless Fitness. Raid messages Bull Rush as always. So just want to go ahead and say thank you all for coming out. Oh, Christopher is here. Thank you for the gift sub. Chef at Camp, thank you very much for the subscribe from Prime. Y'all, as always, take care. I will be live again 9 a.m. tomorrow with Bench. Make good decisions. Those good decisions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values forms the ethos and can be the guide star within the rough waters of life. And if you want more content, come check me out on the Discord. We got lots going on there. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug and come in for the raid. And we raiding. All right. Howdy, YouTube. As always, it's good to see you guys. I will be live again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Hope you come by, twitch.tv/BullMuscle. I will also be in Boston and coming next week, so if anybody from YouTube, you want to come out, come check out the Discord, come talk to me. Much love.